The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 Passerby A6. Su Qingni was lucky. It took her half a year to find the extremely yin place and bury the nether stone. In the following half a year, Su Qingni drove around and traveled everywhere. It took another half a year to return to City A. After receiving a call from her daughter, Su's mother went to her daughter's small villa the day before and asked the nanny and the hourly worker to clean the small villa. The next day, she came to her daughter's small villa early in the morning and asked the nanny to stew nourishing soup for her little daughter and cook delicious meals. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Aunt Zhang." Su Qingni smiled and hugged Su's mother. Su's mother was shocked. You know, because her little daughter had severe mysophobia, she would never have physical contact with other people before. Su Qingni smiled and said, "I've been running around outside for a year, and sometimes I even lived in the wild. My original obsession with cleanliness has almost been cured." Mother Su felt distressed and happy when she heard this. She hugged her daughter back and smiled. "That's great. Mom can hug you more in the future. You, girl, you don't need us to get close to you since you started elementary school. Mom is so sad." Su Qingni said with a sour smile, "Mom, you are so old now, just read less girls' comics." Mother Su let go of her daughter's hand and snorted, "How old am I? I'm still young, your mother. Look at my face, it's so smooth. When I go out with you, people will only think I'm your sister." Su Qingni was sweating. A woman's age really can't be mentioned casually. In addition, the Su family is rich. Mother Su spends no less than 7 figures on facial and skin care every year. It would be strange if her skin is not smooth. Mother Su took out her cell phone. "Call your father and older brother and sister, tell them that your mysophobia has been cured, and let them celebrate together tonight. Qingni, come back with me and stay for a few days." In the expectant eyes of Mother Su, Su Qingni nodded. So, just after returning home and not staying for a night, Su Qingni went to the old house of the Su family, and stayed there for more than half a month under the loving attack of Mother Su. During this half-month, Su Qingni heard the news of the Zhao family from Father Su. The old man of the Zhao family completely withdrew from the family group, and all his shares were transferred to his eldest son, leaving only 300 million yuan in cash and several houses to his favorite youngest son Zhaozan. The total funds did not exceed 1 billion, and no shares of the family were given to Zhaozan. This made people in the circle very confused. What did Zhaozan do to make the Zhao family expel him in disguise? You must know that after Father Zhao took charge of the Zhao group, he immediately withdrew all kinds of support from the Zhao group to the company founded by Zhaozan himself. Many wealthy families have fought over their inheritance and become mortal enemies, but isn't the Zhao family quite peaceful? Old Master Zhao had already determined the heir to his family and had never thought of letting his youngest son inherit his company. How did this suddenly happen? Hearing this, Mother Su said, "Beauty is the root of trouble." Father Su, what? Mother Su, isn't the disfigured boy from the Zhao family Zhao Zhu who has returned to China? He used to love Zhao Chen's girlfriend Jie Yishuang very much, and he disfigured himself for Jie Yishuang. Now that his face has recovered and he has returned to China, he must want to snatch Jie Yishuang away, right? That's why he suppressed Zhao Chen so much? Isn't Jie Yishuang a beauty the root of trouble? Sister-in-law Su came over with a plate of fruit and put it on the coffee table, and said, "I heard that Jie Yishuang was also suppressed in the entertainment industry, and it seems that it was Zhao Zhu who did it." Mother Su said unhappily, "Then Zhao Zhu's character is too bad, right? If he wanted to pursue someone, wouldn't he do it openly? He even resorted to trickery to harm his own uncle, which is a bit too much." Sister-in-law Su, what's so good about women in the entertainment industry? These two uncle and nephew have bad taste, and Zhao Zhu's character is even worse. How could Zhao Zhu, who has such a bad character, help Jie Yishuang block the sulfuric acid? Brother Su stood on Zhao Zhu's side. He knew Zhao Zhu and thought that Zhao Zhu was okay, not the despicable villain that Mother Su and sister-in-law Su said. Sister-in-law Su snorted. He definitely didn't think that there was sulfuric acid in the bottle at the time. Su Qingni ate a piece of watermelon elegantly, put down the watermelon rind, and said, "Zhao Zhu's disfigurement was not an accident, but disfigurement. The so-called Black Fan was not targeting Jie Yishuang, his target was originally Xiao Zhuge. What? The other members of the Su family were shocked and stared at Su Qingni with burning eyes. It sounded like there was gossip. Is it related to Xiao Zhan? Brother Su reacted the fastest and asked. Su Qingni gave Brother Su a thumbs up and said, Jie Yishuang is Xiao Zhan's girlfriend. Xiao Zhan always chases after his girlfriend, but he doesn't do anything. Don't you think it's strange? Brother, if someone keeps chasing after your sister-in-law, what would you do? Of course I would go find him and warn him in front of your sister-in-law not to harass her. Brother Su said, turn around and put a sack on him and beat him up. Su Qingni made a look gesture. Everyone thought Xiao Zhan's reaction was a bit strange. Father Su asked, could it be that the Black Fan was instigated by Xiao Can? Su Qingni nodded, not only this Black Fan, but also the comments on the internet that were unfavorable to Xiao Can were made by Xiao Can's hired trolls. He wanted Xiao Zhuge to have a mental breakdown and commit suicide. If Mr. and Mrs. Xiao hadn't hired a psychologist to look after Xiao Zhuge would have died long ago. Father Su pondered and said, Xiao Zhuge is the most outstanding heir of the Xiao family. If Xiao Zhuge died, Mr. Xiao must have been deeply shocked. Xiao Kun was not satisfied with what Grandpa Xiao gave him, he wanted the entire Xiao family. The rest of the Su family suddenly understood. Immediately, Mother Su and sister-in-law Su made a 180-degree turn in their attitude towards Xiao Zhuge and Xiao Can. Mrs. Su, no wonder Xiao Zhuge suppressed Xiao Can as soon as he returned to China. He was kind enough not to kill Xiao Can. I sympathize with Xiao Can, but he doesn't deserve sympathy at all. Mother Su, Xiao Zhuge looks good, and his face has recovered. Qingni, seize the opportunity. Su Qingni frowned. Mom, Xiao Zhuge and I have nothing to do with each other. Mother Su had a look of you can't fool me, if you have nothing to do with each other, how would you know these secrets of the Xiao family? Your father has business dealings with the Xiao family, and your brother knows Xiao Zhuge, but they don't know these secrets. But you know. Didn't Xiao Zhuge tell you? I found that out through hacking technology. But I can't say this, and they won't believe it if I say it. I was Xiao Zhuge's attending physician. Xiao Zhuge was in critical condition at the time, and I was the one who saved him from death. Later, I met Xiao Zhuge while traveling. We talked for a few minutes, and then someone came to see him. Chapter 227 Passerby A7. That man is a private detective. Xiao Zhuge commissioned him to investigate the Black Fans. I accidentally overheard their conversation. Su Qingni gave this reason. Su's mother, haha. Su's father, haha. Su's elder brother, haha. Su's elder sister-in-law, haha. Su Qingni, haha. Believe it or not, this girl is leaving. Su Qingni returned to her small villa the next day. She really didn't want to see the meaningful look of the Su family. When she opened the door and was about to go in, she found a young girl walking out of the villa on the left. Is anyone living here? The previous owner of this villa went abroad and commissioned a friend to list and auction the villa. When Su Qingni came back from her trip, the villa had not been sold yet. It's only been half a month, and someone has moved in. The efficiency is really high. Huh? Su Qingni's eyes fixed on the girl. It's not that the girl is too beautiful. Well, although the girl looks pretty good and is a beauty, Su Qingni has seen all kinds of beauties. How could she be attracted to a girl? Su Qingni saw the imprint of time and space on this girl. She saw the timeline and space-line extending from this girl and extending into the void. Can you freely travel through two worlds? Interesting. Su Qingni thought it was so interesting that she actually met such an interesting person. She stretched out her right hand and grabbed the girl. A thin timeline and a thin space-line separated from the girl's body and were caught in Su Qingni's palm. Su Qingni tied the two lines into a bow and tied it on her left wrist. Fortunately, she would bring an extra netherworld stone as a backup. This time, she was so lucky that she could gain two worlds after traveling through one world. Su Qingni was happy in her heart and looked at the girl with extremely gentle eyes. But no matter how gentle, if you keep staring at someone, they will notice it. The girl felt that someone's eyes were on her for a long time, and immediately turned her head to look at her. Her reaction speed was not slow. Su Qingni's eyes met the girl's eyes and she smiled kindly and warmly at the girl. The girl was slightly stunned when she saw Su Qingni, and then smiled back with relaxation. Su Qingni said, "Hello, my name is Su Qingni, and I'm your neighbor." The girl nodded. Su Qingni, "Hello, my name is Su Qingni, and I'm your neighbor. The girl, hello, my name is Su Qingni. If you need any help in the future, you can come to my house to find me. Thank you. Su thanked him politely. The two chatted briefly and got to know each other. Su was going out, so she left without chatting. Su Qingni returned home, put down her gifts, and walked out of the house. She drove to a small alley that looked older, got out of the car, and walked in. There was a small electrical appliance repair shop in the alley, and the business was not very good. The boss was very idle and was using his mobile phone to pay for skins. But the boss was a relative of the chief, and the skins he drew, Su Qingni walked to the table in front of the boss, stretched out her fingers and tapped the table. Boss, do you have Hilux Raft WR600 here? The boss looked up. 100,000. Su Qingni, I have transferred the money to you. Boss, King of Spades. Su Qingni nodded. The boss took out a box that was 1 foot long and half a foot wide from under the table and placed it on the table. Su Qingni picked up the box and turned to leave. When she returned home, Su Qingni opened the box, took out the materials and small instruments inside, and began to assemble them. Although she had captured part of the timeline and space line on Su, she could follow these 2 lines to find another world. However, these 2 lines did not belong to her after all, and who knew what would happen when she was halfway there. She decided to make a positioning instrument first, and smuggle the instrument into that world through Su. In this way, she would be able to go to that world without any mistakes. The instrument was soon completed. You can't use mana to refine the instrument, you can only use technology to make it. The appearance of the finished product that Su Qingni made for the first time was really ugly. But it's okay as long as this thing can be used, don't worry about the appearance. Su Qingni comforted herself like this. She turned on the computer and operated it a few times, and the figure of her new neighbor Su appeared on the screen. Su had returned from outside. She should have gone out to purchase, and she came back with a lot of bags. At this time, Su was putting things into 2 woven bags. Su Qingni saw that she put in soap, lighter, perfume, hair accessories made of rhinestones, wind-up music boxes. The other world should be ancient times, right? These little things are not valuable in modern times, but they are very rare objects in ancient times and worth a lot of money. Miss Su is making a fortune as a middleman in 2 worlds. Su Qingni moved her fingers, and Su's information appeared on the screen. This girl was an orphan, went to a 2nd-tier university, and found a low-paying job. It was impossible for her to have the money to buy a villa. The money to buy the villa was exchanged for an embroidery that was called a fine product. This girl is also smart. She did not sell the porcelain and jade pendants brought back from ancient times as antiques, otherwise she would not be able to pass the carbonization analysis. The 2 woven bags were full. Su took off her coat, took out a set of ancient costumes from the closet, and put them on. She sat down at the dressing table and combed her long hair with a comb. After combing her hair, she tied it into a flying fairy bun on top of her head and pinned 2 buns made of rhinestones. The fashionable urban girl turned into an ancient lady. Well, this lady is quite strong. She lifted 2 woven bags with both hands, and her lady image was immediately shattered. Su Qingni quickly started the instrument. The instrument flew out of her villa quickly and entered Su's villa through the vent. The space around Su had been distorted. Just before her figure was about to disappear, the instrument flew to her side and tightly attached to one of the woven bags. Su's eyes blurred and she blinked. The environment in front of her had changed. She appeared in an antique room. Just now I seemed to see something falling on the woven bags. Su said as she lowered her head to check the 2 woven bags, but she saw nothing. Maybe my eyes are blurry. Su thought it was because of the time travel that made it blurry, but she didn't know that the instrument had left her as soon as she arrived in this world, left her room, and went to a small forest outside the city to take root and play its role. At the same time, Su Qingni received the time and space coordinates of another world. Haha, another spontaneous trip is coming. Chapter 228 Passerby A8. Before Su Qingni started her journey, she received a call from Su's mother, asking Su Qingni to go shopping with her. The original owner never went shopping with Su's mother before, but now that Su Qingni has cured her mysophobia, Su's mother would occasionally take her shopping. Su Qingni really disliked this kind of time-wasting behavior, but Su's mother liked it, so she had to go shopping with Su's mother. However, Su's mother was quite sensible, and only took her little daughter shopping once in a long time. "Girl, why don't you dress up a little bit when you go shopping?" Su's mother looked at Su Qingni's plain appearance without makeup, and couldn't help but mutter. "I don't like the smell of powder," Su Qingni said, "and the clothes I'm wearing are pretty good, loose and comfortable, and the style is pretty good. How can they be pretty? They don't show off your figure." Su's mother was not satisfied. "And you're all gray, you're not as bright as me." Su Qingni wanted to say that only older women like to wear bright colors, but thinking that age is a taboo for Su's mother, Su Qingni shut up and pretended to be dumb. Su's mother sighed. It would be too late to let Su Qingni go back to change clothes at this time. But Su's mother took Su Qingni's wrist and went to a women's clothing store. "This set of clothes is good, this one is also good." Su's mother picked out 5 or 6 sets of clothes and pushed Su Qingni into the changing room to let her change clothes. Su Qingni had no choice but to change clothes one by one and show them to Su's mother. After looking at them, Su's mother chose the second set of clothes and asked Su Qingni to put them back on. The remaining sets and the set of clothes that Su Qingni was wearing were packed up by the store clerk. Mother Su picked out a pair of shoes that matched the clothes and asked Su Qingni to change into them. Mother Su wanted to take her daughter to the hair salon to get her hair done, but after looking at the time, she found that it was getting late, so she had to give up the idea and took Su Qingni to a coffee shop. Su Qingni followed Mother Su and squinted her eyes. What was Mother Su going to do with this? She had a guess in her mind. Sure enough, she saw Mother Xiao and Xiao Zhu who were already sitting in the coffee shop. The corners of Su Qingni's mouth twitched. Similarly, the corners of Xiao Zhu's mouth twitched when he saw Su Qingni. Mother Su and Mother Xiao greeted each other warmly, as if they were best friends who had known each other for decades. The two talked for a while and then used the excuse of going shopping together in the mall, leaving Su Qingni and Xiao Zhu alone in the coffee shop. Su Qingni and Xiao Zhu looked at each other. After a long while, Xiao Zhu said, "Dr. Su, I didn't expect that the blind date would be you." Su Qingni chuckled twice. She did think of it, but she only thought of it before entering the coffee shop. "I was tricked by my mother to come here, and I have no intention of getting married," Su Qingni said. Xiao Zhu nodded, "I think so too. Dr. Su is such a great man, and there are few people who can match you. An ordinary person like me is absolutely not worthy of Dr. Su. Such a woman, standing next to her is very stressful. He would be stupid to marry Su Qingni as his wife." "Su Qingni, she asked, "I heard that Zhen Yishuang went to see you." Xiao Zhu, Dr. Su is quite gossipy. Su Qingni smiled. "Gossip is a part of life." This time it was Xiao Zhu's turn to laugh. The two had nothing to say for a while, and they all lowered their heads to eat cake and drink coffee. When the cake was finished and the coffee was finished, the two stood up at the same time. "Goodbye." The two said goodbye to each other dryly and left with their backs to each other. In order to prevent Su's mother from dragging her to a blind date again, Su Qingni sent a message to the Su family, saying that she was going out to travel again, and then followed the timeline and spaceline, according to the coordinates given by the instrument, and came to another world. In the grove outside Suzhou, a figure suddenly appeared. It was Su Qingni who had traveled through time. She had already changed into an ancient costume, but it was not a woman's costume, but a man's costume. I don't know how Xingzuxu is doing in this world, but in ancient times, it was always more convenient for men to do things and go out than women. Su Qingni flicked off the non-existent dust on her body and walked out of the grove. Outside the woods was the official road. Su Qingni looked at the direction of the pedestrians, chose the direction, and walked. After walking for about a quarter of an hour, the ancient city wall appeared in Su Qingni's sight. The city wall was not high, giving people a very vicissitudes of life. Su Qingni looked up for a while and walked towards the city gate. There was a queue at the city gate, all of whom were people entering the city. Several city guards blocked the city gate and collected the city entrance fee from everyone entering the city. Everyone entering the city obediently paid the city entrance fee, but it can be seen that they were not willing. But how could ordinary people compete with the government? Soon it was Su Qingni's turn. Su Qingni took out a silver chain and threw it directly to the city guard. The city guard saw the jade pendant hanging under Su Qingni's folding fan and nodded, saying, "There is also this." Su Qingni glanced at the city guard indifferently, pulled off the jade pendant and threw it to the city guard. It was just a jade pendant bought for 10 yuan, and the folding fan was only 20 yuan. Su Qingni didn't care and gave it to him. But this city guard was so arrogant and greedy for money, no wonder this dynasty was going to be destroyed. Walking on the street, Su Qingni felt even more deeply. There were many beggars and refugees in the city, and the business of each shop was not very good. The faces of ordinary people were full of sorrow. Of course, there were also shops with booming business. Su Qingni walked into this shop called Kawuxun, took a look inside, and saw soaps, perfumes, hair accessories and other things. These things are sold very cheaply in modern times. Soap is only a few yuan, and the cheapest perfume is only 20 to 30 yuan for a small bottle. The cheapest hair accessories are a few yuan, and the most expensive ones. Xingzuxu will definitely not buy them. She only buys hair accessories that cost less than 50 yuan. But in Kawuxun, soap costs 2 taels of silver, perfume costs 20 taels of silver per bottle, and hair accessories cost more than 10 taels of silver. Su Qingni used the exchange rate between silver and RMB in the Middle and Late Qing dynasty to convert it. 1 tael of silver can be exchanged for 1,000 RMB. Would soap cost 2,000 yuan in ancient times? It's really a huge profit. Do many people want to be middlemen? This young man, is this your first time in Suzhou? A smart-looking shop assistant came forward to greet Su Qingni. How do you know that this is my first time in Suzhou? Su Qingni asked. The shop assistant laughed and said, you can tell from your temperament that you are not an ordinary person. I know all the nobles in Suzhou, and you are not among them. I think you must be from other places. Not bad, he is a smart man. Chapter 229 Passerby A9. The shop assistant introduced the things in the store to Su Qingni very enthusiastically. After hearing his introduction about soaps, perfumes, etc., Su Qingni felt that she didn't recognize these things. A man in brocade clothes walked into Kawuxun surrounded by a dozen of his men. The shop assistant saw fear and disgust in the man's eyes. Where is your boss? Is he back? The man asked as he entered the door. A woman in her 30s, who should be the shopkeeper of Kawuxun, walked up to the man and bowed, and replied, Mr. Li, our boss went out to purchase goods and has not returned yet. Still want to deceive me. The man said angrily, my men have found your boss's whereabouts, and your boss is not back. How can there be new goods in Kawuxun? Are you fooling me for a fool? The female shopkeeper. The lie was exposed, and the female shopkeeper didn't know how to answer again, but she would not let her boss come out to face the man in front of her. The man snorted and said, do you think that if you don't let your boss see me, I won't be able to deal with you? So what if Xingzuxu is on good terms with the prefect's wife? The prefect can't even protect himself, how can he protect her? Tell your boss that I will send a sedan chair to your door in 3 days, and your boss will wait obediently to get on the sedan chair and become my wife. You should also settle the account of Kawuxun, and I will send someone to take over. This is your boss's dowry. The shopkeeper's face was as black as ink, and the other shop assistants in the store also stared at the man angrily. Su Qingni whispered to the shop assistant beside her, who is this man, and how can he be so arrogant? The shop assistant's voice was even lower than Su Qingni's. Fortunately, Su Qingni was not an ordinary person, so she could hear clearly what he said. This man is called Li Huiren. He is the third young master of the Jiangnan weaving house. His uncle is the minister of the Ministry of Personnel in Beijing. He has a powerful backer and is therefore rampant in Suzhou City. He is a bully in Suzhou City. Li Huiren saw that our Kawuxun was doing good business and wanted to rob it. Later, when he saw that our boss was good-looking, he wanted to get both money and people and make our boss his third wife. Naturally, our boss didn't want to. Fortunately, the boss had saved the prefect's daughter before. The prefect's wife was very grateful to the boss and became his backer. Li Huiren didn't dare to rob the boss. He came to the door today, it must be just as he said, that there is a problem with the prefect and he can no longer protect the boss. The shop assistant's face was as bitter as a bitter gourd, and bitter gourd juice could be squeezed out of it. What should we do? Without the protection of the prefect, the boss will really be robbed into the mansion by this bad guy. The shop assistant was very worried about his boss. Su Qingni patted the shop assistant on the shoulder and comforted him, don't worry, your boss will definitely not be taken away by Li Huiren. The shop assistant didn't know Xingzuxu's background like Su Qingni did, and was so worried that he didn't even bother to greet Su Qingni. Su Qingni chuckled. How would Xingzuxu deal with this trouble? After Li Huiren finished speaking, He left Kawuxuan. The curtain leading to the backyard of the shop was lifted, and Xingzuxu walked out with an ugly look on her face. She didn't have the mind to pay attention to anything else, and naturally couldn't see that her modern neighbor was standing not far away. "Boss," the shopkeeper and the shop assistants all surrounded him. "Boss, what should we do?" the shopkeeper said worriedly. "Don't worry, I'll go to the wife of the prefect to see the situation first," Xingzuxu said, her beautiful eyes full of anger. For the first time, she felt that the ancient times were not so good. Xingzuxu walked out of Kawuxuan, and Su Qingni followed her out. The shop assistant was worried about his boss, so he didn't care about Su Qingni, nor did he care about this guy who had been entertained by him for a long time but didn't buy anything. Su Qingni didn't follow Xingzuxu. She came to a restaurant not far from Kawuxuan and found a private room on the second floor. The window of the private room faced the door of Kawuxuan, so she could see the situation inside the store clearly. When Su Qingni finished a table of delicious food and had a cup of fragrant tea, Xingzuxu returned to Kawuxuan. "Boss." The shopkeeper and the shop assistants came up together. "What did the wife of the prefect say?" Xingzuxu's face was very bad. The Li family used their connections in the capital to demote the prefect to a remote town as a county magistrate. The wife of the prefect thought that the prefect was implicated by me, and she was very angry with me and was unwilling to protect me in Kawuxuan anymore. The shopkeeper and the shop assistants were disappointed and afraid. Then the boss really wants to be Li Huairen's mistress? Will our Kawuxuan also become the property of that bad guy? Xingzuxu bit her lower lip with silver teeth, and a resolute look rose on her face. "My things, even if they are destroyed, will never be given to Li Huairen for free. Wood and stone, go outside and shout loudly, saying that our shop is having a clearance sale today and tomorrow, and each item is only 10 cents. If you buy more, you can get a discount." "All 10 cents? Then we will lose a lot of money." The shopkeeper wanted to object, but when he thought of what Xingzuxu said, he swallowed his words of persuasion. "Even if we lose a lot of money, it will never be given to Li Huairen for free. I'll go out and shout too." After saying that, the shopkeeper also opened the door of the shop. Then, the shopkeeper stood outside the door of the shop, and the wood and stone went east and west, shouting along the way. "The goods in Kawuxuan are all only 10 cents. The people in the city who heard the shouting were shocked, and then overjoyed. They all knew how good the things in Kawuxuan were, but the problem was that they were too expensive and ordinary people couldn't afford them. Now everything is only 10 cents, they can afford it. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and buy it." In half an hour, the door of Kawuxuan was blocked, and there was still a steady stream of people coming to Kawuxuan. The goods in Kawuxuan were reduced at a speed visible to the naked eye. Li Huairen was so angry when he heard the news reported by the servant that he smashed the wine glass in his hand. "Xingzuxu, you actually used such a trick, causing this young master to suffer a great loss." "Young master, do you want me to stop it?" a lackey said hurriedly. "No need." Li Huairen took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. "It doesn't matter if the things in Kawuxuan are sold out. As long as Xingzuxu enters my backyard and learns the sources of those strange items from her, won't the money roll in the future?" "Sir, you are right, you are wise." The lackey flattered Li Huairen. Li Huairen snorted and ordered the lackey, "Have someone keep an eye on Xingzuxu, don't let this woman run away." "Don't worry, sir, the front and back doors of Kawuxuan are guarded by our people. Xingzuxu can't run away." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230 Passerby. With the people of Suzhou City scrambling for it, all the goods in Kawuxuan were sold out in just one day. Xingzuxu went to the bank again and exchanged all the copper coins for gold. It was only a dozen taels of gold. In the eyes of the shopkeeper and the shop assistants, Xingzuxu had lost a lot. But Xingzuxu didn't feel that she had lost money, and she even made money. Xingzuxu divided the dozen taels of gold among the shopkeeper and the two shop assistants. "I'm leaving Suzhou. You'd better take your family away from Suzhou, so that Li Huairen won't find me and cause trouble for you. Is this money enough for you to live in another city?" Xingzuxu asked. "Enough," the three hurriedly said. The shopkeeper got 8 taels of gold, and the 2 shop assistants got 5 taels of gold each. When exchanged for silver, it was a full dozens of taels. They had never earned so much money in their lives for more than 10 or 20 years. Not to mention them, their parents and elders worked hard all their lives and couldn't make so much money. With this money, they and their families lived for 30 years. Xingzuxu said, "You will leave Suzhou as soon as the city gate opens tomorrow morning. Go home and pack your luggage now." The shopkeeper and the shop assistant hurriedly said, "Let's stay for a while. After all, we have been working here since Kawuxun was established. We are reluctant to leave." Xingzuxu said, "You can stay if you want, but you will have less time to pack your luggage." The shopkeeper said, "We have packed our luggage in advance." Xingzuxu, "Oh." The shopkeeper, "We thought that the boss would not give in and would definitely flee Suzhou, so we started to let our family pack their luggage." Xingzuxu couldn't help but smile. "You are worthy of being the shopkeeper I am optimistic about. You are really smart." The people in the shop stayed until the shop closed at night, and the shopkeeper and the 2 shop assistants went home. The next day, although Xingzuxu did not open the shop door, she went out for a walk and let Li Huairen's men see her. Xingzuxu attracted Li Huairen's attention on this side, and on the other side, the shopkeeper and the shop assistant left Suzhou with their families as soon as the city gate opened. They were just nobody in Li Huairen's eyes. Li Huairen didn't pay too much attention to them and let them leave Suzhou smoothly. One day later, Li Huairen asked his subordinates to go to Kawuxun to pick up Xingzuxu. Li Huairen asked his subordinates, "Xingzuxu has never left Kawuxun." The subordinates patted their chests and guaranteed. The subordinates stared at Kawuxun without blinking for 12 hours a day, not letting a fly fly out of it. Auntie Sam found that we were guarding outside the door, so she locked herself in the backyard of Kawuxun and didn't leave. Okay. Li Huairen was happy. It seemed that Xingzuxu had accepted her fate. He, the beauty and treasure belonged to him. "Let's go, follow me to pick up the beauty." Li Huairen waved his hand and went out with a group of lackeys. As a result, when they arrived at Kawuxun, they didn't see anyone. "Where is the person?" Li Huairen kicked the lackey who had promised before. "Didn't you say that even a fly can fly out? Then how come Xingzuxu is missing?" The lackey looked bitter. He didn't know how Xingzuxu could leave under their tight defense. Li Huairen's face was distorted. "Go find her for me. Search the entire Suzhou city and find her for me." "Yes, yes." The lackey responded hurriedly. Li Huairen said again, "Go and arrest the shopkeeper and the shop assistants of Kawuxun and torture them about the whereabouts of Xingzuxu. If they can't tell the whereabouts of Xingzuxu, break their legs." "Yes." Li Huairen walked out of Kawuxun angrily. The surrounding shopkeepers had already closed their doors and looked outside through the cracks in the doors. Seeing Li Huairen coming out with an angry face, everyone felt happy. "I told you to rob someone's shop and rob people. Now you can't rob them, right? You deserve it." Ordinary people didn't dare to resist Li Huairen. Seeing someone who dared to resist and succeeded, they were very happy and prayed for Xingzuxu, hoping that she would never be caught by Li Huairen. Su Qingni stood in front of the window of the restaurant, holding a wine glass in her right hand and a wine pot in her left hand, drinking and watching the show. Seeing Li Huairen coming out of Kawuxun, she moved her right hand and a drop of wine splashed out of the wine glass. Su Qingni used her internal force, concentrated her internal force on the middle finger of her right hand, and flicked it on the wine drop. The wine drop flew out with Su Qingni's internal force and hit one of Li Huairen's knees. Li Huairen's right leg softened, and his body fell forward, and he fell to death. "Young master." The lackeys hurried forward to help Li Huairen up, and saw that Li Huairen had a mouthful of blood and spat out 2 big front teeth. Puff! Many people who were hiding behind the crack of the door laughed, thinking that God had eyes. Su Qingni laughed regardless. Li Huairen was even more ashamed and angry when he heard the laughter. He looked up in the direction of the laughter and saw a young man he didn't know laughing at him unscrupulously by the window on the 2nd floor of the restaurant. Li Huairen's face was dark. He pointed his finger at Su Qingni and gave a vague order to his subordinates, "Catch him for me." The lackeys immediately split a group and rushed to the restaurant. When they rushed into the private room on the 2nd floor, they only saw an empty room. "Sir, the person is gone." "Gone again." Li Huairen's face became darker. "This person must be related to Xingzuxu. When you look for Xingzuxu, find this person for me. If he dares to laugh at me, I will not forgive him." Of course, because of the two missing front teeth, Li Huairen's words were very vague. It was also because the lackeys had been with him for a long time and knew this young master very well that they could hear what Li Huairen meant from such vague words. Yes, sir, I will find more people to look for him. Are you going back to the mansion or to the clinic now? What clinic? Let more people see my embarrassing side. Li Huairen kicked him out again. Go and bring the doctor to the mansion for me, I will go back first. Su Qingni has returned to the modern era. She is holding a cloth bag in her hand, which contains small things she bought in ancient times and brought back as gifts for others. The bamboo tube wood carvings that can be bought for a few copper coins are handicrafts in modern times, and the price is definitely not low. Su Qingni looked at her neighbors. Xingzuxu came back earlier than her, and was eating instant noodles at home and cursing Li Huairen. Su Qingni smiled and stopped paying attention to Xingzuxu. She already knew the coordinates of another world and could go to another world at any time. Xingzuxu was useless to her. She rested for 3 days in the modern era and then traveled again. This time she would stay in the ancient times for a long time, so she prepared a lot of things and even went to the bank to exchange 10 gold bars. Chapter 231 Passerby 11. When Su Qingni was about to leave, she found that her neighbor was also preparing to go to the ancient world. After all, being a middleman is very profitable, and the neighbor would never give up the ancient world. Su Qingni set out later than her neighbor. When she arrived in the ancient world, she still landed in the grove outside Suzhou City. As soon as her feet landed on the ground, she heard a familiar voice. Xingzuxu, where else do you want to run? This was Li Huairen's voice. It seemed that the neighbor was unfortunately discovered by Li Huairen. Li Huairen. The neighbor's gritted teeth sounded. Li Huairen's leaky voice rang out, Xingzuxu, follow me back obediently and be my third aunt. Otherwise what do you want? Xingzuxu asked coldly. Li Huairen snorted, I will sell you to the dirtiest women's branch. You dare? Xingzuxu said angrily, I am a free woman, how dare you force me into prostitution? Why shouldn't I dare? The whole Jiangnan is the sphere of influence of the Li family. Here, there is nothing I can't do. Xingzuxu, you have already angered me once. You'd better be sensible this time. I am not a man who sympathizes with women. In response, he was kicked on the bridge of his nose by a big foot. Miss Xingzuxu has learned taekwondo, and her legs are long and powerful. Li Huairen's nose was kicked right in, and after his teeth were broken 3 days ago, his nose was also broken. Ah, master. The lackeys panicked. Li Huairen covered his nose. Although he couldn't bear the pain, he was calmer than the lackeys. He shouted angrily, what are you doing? Go and catch that woman. I will pay her back 10 times what I suffered. Oh. The lackeys heard the order and rushed towards Xingzuxu immediately. Xingzuxu is quite good at fighting, but with her strength, she could only knock down 4 or 5 big men at most. The number of lackeys was twice that of 4 or 5, and Xingzuxu couldn't resist it this time. Xingzuxu watched herself being caught by 2 big men, and watched Li Huairen walking towards her with a distorted face. She closed her eyes, and the space around her twisted. The next moment, Xingzuxu disappeared in front of Li Huairen and the lackeys. Where is the person? Li Huairen and the lackeys were dumbfounded. She disappeared out of thin air. A lackey trembled. That woman is not a human, is she? A ghost? Ghost? A group of people screamed and ran away. Su Qingni came out from behind the big tree. She felt that she might have traveled to a world made up of a novel again this time. The protagonist in the novel was Xingzuxu, and the plot was about a middleman who traveled through time and space to become a middleman and reach the peak of his life, marrying a tall, rich and handsome man. As the protagonist, all kinds of things would naturally happen around him, and all kinds of cannon fodder would appear to slap him in the face. I wonder if Li Huairen is a cannon fodder or a boss-level figure who will create big troubles on the protagonist's growth path? Su Qingni smiled. The most important thing at a moment is to find the extremely yin place in this world. She would wait until she had free time to watch the real plot of the novel. Su Qingni walked in the direction of Suzhou City with her back to it. However, after walking for a while, she regretted it a little. Why didn't she buy a horse to travel? In the end, Su Qingni exchanged half a gold bar for a carriage with a caravan. There's heaven above and Suzhou and Hangzhou below. Leaving Suzhou, Su Qingni went to Hangzhou and admired the beautiful scenery of West Lake in this world. Then she went to Yangzhou and visited the slender West Lake. Go to Jinling again. Su Qingni felt that she was very close to the extremely yin place in this world, and she was about to find it. The sun set and the sky darkened. When Su Qingni thought that she might have to rest in the wild today, the outline of a village appeared in front of her. This is a small village backed by a mountain, very small, with only a dozen households. Su Qingni walked into the village and saw several strong men carrying a corpse wrapped in a mat to the other side of the mountain. They should be digging a pit to bury the person. The poor are like this. They have no money to buy a coffin, let alone the money and time to handle the so-called funeral affairs. Most of them are buried with a mat. At most, the relatives and friends of the deceased will go to the grave to kowtow a few times after finishing their work in the fields for 7 consecutive days. Along the way, Su Qingni has seen many such ways of handling things. This world is different from other ancient worlds she has visited. The people live very hard. They are exploited by corrupt officials, but they have not yet developed a sense of resistance. They can only endure and endure, making themselves more miserable and less status. Su Qingni glanced at the dead man and was about to look away when she found that the dead man's fingers seemed to move slightly. She hurriedly said, "Wait a minute, this person is not dead yet." Several big men were stunned, stopped and looked at Su Qingni. Su Qingni said again, "This person is not dead yet. If he is rescued, he can still live." At this time, they were standing in front of a village resident's house. The person inside heard Su Qingni's words and came out. He was an old man who looked 60 years old, but his actual age, based on Su Qingni's experience of seeing many people in this world these days, was only in his 40s at most. The old man walked out of the house and said to the big men, "Why are you still standing there? Go and bury the man." "Yes." The big men turned and left. Su Qingni naturally understood why the old man wanted the big men to bury the man. In their opinion, it would cost a lot of money to rescue the dying person, and the most lacking thing for them poor people is money. Instead of spending money to treat the person and rescue him, it might not be possible to rescue him, so it is better to give up directly. Su Qingni quickly spoke up, "I know medical skills and can help him treat it for free." The old man immediately called out to several big men, "Quick, carry Niangniang back to his own home." After that, he turned to Su Qingni and smiled, and said respectfully, "Dear guest, please follow me." The old man took Su Qingni to the most dilapidated house in the whole village. On the way, Su Qingni already knew the identity of the old man, who was the village chief of this village. She also learned from the village chief why the patient died. There were poisonous weeds mixed in the wild vegetables, and the patient accidentally shocked them into his stomach. It was very simple for Su Qingni to deal with this situation. She took out the silver needles specially ordered in Hangzhou city from her cloth bag. On the way to Hangzhou, she saw many ordinary people giving up their lives because they had no money to see a doctor. Su Qingni felt pity and simply gave herself the identity of a bell doctor to treat the people for free. Most of the space in her carriage was filled with herbs picked along the way. Chapter 232 Passerby's Eye. The poison man was a young man in his 20s, with a hint of hostility between his eyebrows, which was different from the numbness of most people who accepted their fate. Su Qingni used silver needles to help the man expel the toxins from his body, and asked the village chief to take the herbs she prepared to boil medicine. The man had a kitchen at home, and it was often used, but at this time the man's home had no firewood, and the village chief was worried that there were toxins left on the pots and bowls in the man's home, so he took the medicine back to his home to boil. When he brought the boiled medicine, he also brought his wife. Both of them were holding baskets in their hands, and the village chief's wife's basket contained the man's medicine. The village chief's wife brought a clean bowl, took out a bowl of medicine from the earthen jar, walked to the bedside, and fed the weak man the medicine. The village chief took out 2 plates of food, a bowl of rice porridge and 2 steamed buns from his basket and said to Su Qingni, "Mr. Su, our village is poor and we can't make good meals. Please make do with them." Su Qingni walked forward and saw that 1 plate was filled with mixed wild vegetables, 1 plate was scrambled eggs, the porridge was brown rice porridge, and the steamed buns were also made with a large amount of wild vegetables. The food was really simple and tasted. The mixed wild vegetables without seasoning and only salt tasted bitter, which could not be compared with the taste of modern mixed wild vegetables. The brown rice porridge and wild vegetable steamed buns were also difficult to swallow. But these were the best foods that the village chief could take out to entertain guests, especially the eggs. The poor could not afford eggs at all, and they saved eggs to exchange for food and other daily necessities. This meal consumed the savings of the village chief's family for several years. Su Qingni took out a piece of silver from her bosom and handed it to the village chief. "This is the meal money." "No, no need." The village chief waved his hand and refused. "You help our villagers see doctors for free. We don't know how to thank you. How can we accept your silver?" Su Qingni said, "This silver is not given to you for free. It is for your help." The village chief immediately asked, "What help?" "Just let me know, we will definitely help you." Su Qingni took out a few herbs and put them in front of the village chief. "I don't have many herbs in stock. I want to ask people in your village to help me pick some herbs. This silver is your reward. If you pick more, I will reward you again. These herbs are samples. You can just pick them according to the appearance of these herbs." The village chief was overjoyed and hurriedly grabbed a few herbs. There are mountains behind their village, and there must be herbs in the mountains. It wants to mobilize the villagers to pick more and use them in exchange for rewards. In this way, every household will have silver and money, and they can live better this winter. The village chief hurried out of the door holding the herbs, but his wife did not leave. After feeding the man Aniu the medicine, she went to another room and cleaned it up for Su Qingni to use. The wife of the village chief was a talkative person. After Su Qingni asked casually, she told Su Qingni everything about the village. Aniu is a pitiful child. His parents died at a young age, and he grew up with his eldest brother. When he was 15, his brother and sister-in-law died in an accident, leaving him with a niece to take care of. Because of this niece, he is in his 20s and no woman is willing to marry him. A few days ago, a beautiful woman passed by the village, and Aniu actually fell in love with that woman. This woman is not ordinary. Aniu still wants to marry that woman. How could that woman like him? In my opinion, Aniu's suffering this time may be related to that woman. How can a young and beautiful woman walking alone outside be from a good family? That woman may have killed many people. I think Aniu must be unhappy with a woman's intention, so she poisoned Aniu to get rid of him. Otherwise, Aniu grew up eating wild vegetables. How could he not distinguish between wild vegetables and poisonous weeds? That woman also took away Aniu's niece. I don't know where she will sell Chunyang. Humph. Chunya thought that woman was a good person. As soon as her uncle died, she was eager to follow that woman. She must have taken a fancy to that woman because she was rich and dressed, and thought that following the woman would lead to a life of luxury. Su Qingni listened to the village head's wife talking about that woman. As she listened, the image in the village head's wife's mouth was associated with someone she knew. Isn't this Xingzuxu? It seems that this girl has experienced a lot in this ancient world, and her mentality and behavior have changed greatly. She even started to kill people in the ancient world. By the way, if she doesn't feel guilty, won't she have nightmares at night? Xingzuxu is already having nightmares. Aniu was the first person she killed. She dreamed of Aniu spitting black blood and falling down almost every night. She hurriedly took Chunya away, but that picture remained in her mind, making her unable to escape. However, Xingzuxu did not regret killing. This Aniu is not a thing. Not only did he covet her, but he also abused his niece. Such a scum is a scourge to people when he is alive. It is not a pity to die. It's just that she killed people with her own hands. She was very scared. Xingzuxu woke up from a nightmare again. She decided to go back to the modern world to see a psychologist tomorrow. The next day, Xingzuxu gave a little girl about 7 years old a dozen copper coins and asked her to wait for herself in the inn, then returned to the room and returned to the modern world. She didn't know that soon after she left the ancient world, her door was opened and the 7-year-old girl walked in. Looking at the empty room, the little girl showed an evil smile that was not a child's. I knew this woman had a secret. She walked around the room, checked the package that Xingzuxu had placed in the room, found soap and lighter, 2 things that did not belong to this world, and studied them in her hands. Seeing that Xingzuxu had used soap, she put all her attention on studying the lighter. Things like this, even the most powerful craftsman in the imperial city can't make. Could it be that this woman is really a fairy from heaven? The little girl frowned and said, no, except for her higher martial arts value and sudden disappearance, this woman has no other skills. How could she be a fairy? What is the secret of this woman? The little girl lowered her head and thought for a while, but couldn't think of it. She snorted coldly and said, "When I find out the secret of this woman, I will take her secret and add more help for me to return to the palace." Speaking of the word palace, the little girl's face twisted and terrifying. This little girl, it seems that she is not an ordinary person. Chapter 233 Passerby 13. Xingzuxu didn't know that the little girl she rescued was a double-faced person, and might be an old monster inside. After she returned to the modern era, she immediately went to see a psychologist. The matter of wearing ancient and modern clothes was an absolute secret, so Xingzuxu naturally wouldn't tell him. She only said that she had killed someone in her dream and how she felt after killing someone. The psychologist had seen many strange patients, and didn't care whether Xingzuxu was imagining it. He cleared her mind according to Xingzuxu's request. After clearing her mind, Xingzuxu felt much more relaxed. She didn't go home, but took a taxi to the small commodity wholesale market to buy goods to be sold in ancient times. Now, every time she arrives in a city, she will find the most fair and best business in the city, sell some of the goods in exchange for silver, and then buy ancient specialties from the city and bring them back to the modern era. Although this is not as stable as opening a shop by herself, the money earned is more than opening a shop. Xingzuxu has thought about it. Should she just be a traveling merchant? If she wants a stable rest, can't she just go back to the modern era? Xingzuxu got off the taxi, carrying 2 large bags of goods, and walked towards the villa area while thinking about the things in the ancient world. She didn't look at the road, and someone who had just moved to this villa area didn't look at the road either, and the two bumped into each other. A beautiful love story is about to begin. On the ancient world side, Aniu was able to stand up, and he kowtowed to Su Qingni to thank her. Su Qingni learned from him the truth that was completely different from what Xingzuxu believed. "I do have a crush on Miss Xing, and I dream of marrying such a beautiful woman. But I know myself well and I am not worthy of Miss Xing, so I just thought about it, but I was more enthusiastic towards Miss Xing. Miss Xing looked down on me, and I had nothing to say, but she shouldn't have listened to that girl's instigation and thought that I had bad intentions towards Miss Xing and wanted to kill me. Those poisonous weeds were found by that girl, otherwise Miss Xing couldn't even tell the difference between wild vegetables and weeds, so how could she know that they were poisonous weeds? That girl is not my niece, she is an evil ghost. My niece has been killed by the evil ghost, and the evil ghost has occupied my niece's body. That's why Aniu had such a bad attitude towards Chunya, and then Xingzuxu thought Aniu abused Chunya, and her impression of him became worse, and then, under Chunya's intentional or unintentional instigation, she killed Aniu. This is the truth. Poor Aniu. The last relative is gone, and he was also killed by someone. Fortunately, Xingzuxu was killing someone for the first time. She thought Aniu was dead when she saw him spitting black blood and falling to the ground, so she didn't continue to kill him. This allowed Aniu to hold on until Su Qingni arrived and saved his life. I must take revenge. Whether it's Miss Xing or that evil ghost, I won't let them go. Aniu gritted his teeth and no longer had any love for Xingzuxu. Su Qingni kindly reminded him, Xingzuxu is not an ordinary person. If you go against her, you will be unlucky. She is a person blessed by God. Why should God bless her? Aniu really couldn't figure out why God would bless such a cruel woman, but he immediately thought of the officials and rich people in the city. They oppressed the people and treated the people as ants. They were so bad but still lived a rich and high-ranking life. Are they also blessed by God? In this way, this God is too unfair. Do we still need to respect such a God? 2 flames rose in Aniu's eyes. Although the flames were small, they might become a raging fire one day. Su Qingni saw the flames in Aniu's eyes and was slightly surprised, then she smiled. She was not wrong before. Aniu was indeed different and a very interesting person. When Su Qingni left the village, she left Aniu 100 tales of silver and a simple but powerful boxing secret book. Well, the whole book was full of images, otherwise the illiterate Aniu would not understand it. Su Qingni said to Aniu, I know you will not be willing to stay in the village. With your temper, you may do something. You take these 2 things, which is my investment in you. I want to see how far you can go. Aniu did not refuse, took the 2 things, then knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Su Qingni 3 times. Sir, Ding Aniu, will repay you one day. Su Qingni waved her hand and drove the carriage out of the village. Not long after she left, Aniu also left the village. It was already autumn, and the crops in the fields were ripe. As Su Qingni walked along, she saw farmers harvesting crops in the fields. They passed another village, But she did not enter the village, but only passed by the outskirts of the village. On the ridge of the field, a boy of 12 or 13 years old was carrying a load with water jars and pancakes on both sides of the load and walking towards the field. He was going to deliver food to the people in the field. "Little brother, can you give me some water to drink?" Su Qingni raised her voice and asked the boy. The boy looked at Su Qingni, then at the water jar, and finally nodded. "I can only give you half of the water. I will give the rest of the water to my father, my uncle, my third uncle, and my brothers." "Oh, this half jar of water is not enough. I have to make another trip." The boy was cute and silly, which made Su Qingni very happy. But this child was a sincere child, and he really gave Su Qingni half of the jar of water. Su Qingni filled a 1-liter mineral water bottle with water. The boy's hands were shaking when he saw the transparent plastic bottle. He didn't dare to put his own water jug in front of the plastic bottle. Su Qingni took the water jug, poured a bottle of water into the bottle, returned the water jug to the boy, and took out a silver ingot for the boy. The boy was even more dumbfounded when he held the silver. "This is silver. How much would it be if it was changed into copper coins?" "Oh, I don't understand it." The boy held the silver, picked up the burden and ran to the group of people who were working. "Dad, look, there's silver." Su Qingni smiled and looked at the boy's back. Ordinary people could not see it, but she saw that there was a flame mark on the side of the boy's neck. Very lucky. Found a true spirit, or Zhurong's true spirit. Su Qingni watched the boy share the silver he got with his relatives. His relatives were all very happy and wanted to come forward to thank her for giving the silver. Su Qingni raised the whip and urged the carriage to leave. This luck continued until the third day, when she found the extremely yin land and buried the nether stone in it. The mission was completed, and Su Qingni relaxed all of a sudden. "I can go back to the modern times." Su Qingni stretched and decided to have a good sleep for a few days in the modern times. Chapter 234 Passerby 14. After returning to the modern world, Su Qingni slept for 2 days and 2 nights. Modern society is still comfortable. Although the air in the ancient world was good, the food was fresh and there was no need to worry about pesticides. There was no electricity, no running water, no water heaters in ancient times. It was very inconvenient for Su Qingni, who had no magic. Especially when going to the toilet, that experience. Su Qingni refused to recall it. Anyway, every time she went to the toilet in ancient times, she would press the relevant acupuncture points of her nose to make herself unable to smell. After recovering from her shock, Su Qingni took the specialties brought back from ancient times to visit Su's father, Su's mother, Su's eldest brother, and Su's eldest sister-in-law. By the way, she called Su's eldest sister and her husband and asked them to take their children back to her mother's house to receive gifts. The Su family had a reunion dinner, which made Su's eldest sister sigh. Finally, she didn't have to share meals with her sister. After the meal, Su Qingni distributed gifts to everyone. Su's mother, Su's eldest sister, and Su's sister-in-law all wore a set of exquisite ancient costumes. From hair accessories to shoes, everything was complete. Su's mother and Su's eldest sister liked it very much, and immediately returned to the room to change into ancient costumes to show off. Mrs. Su also liked it very much, but she was pregnant now and her belly was so big that she couldn't wear ancient costumes. She could only watch Mother Su and Sister Su change their clothes and give them advice. A set of tea sets was given to Father Su, 2 jade folding fans were given to Brother Su and brother-in-law Su, and ancient toys such as Luban Lock and 9 links were given to the little nephew. The whole family was very satisfied with Su Qingni's gifts. Mother Su changed back into her own clothes, sat next to Su Qingni, stretched out her finger and poked Su Qingni's forehead, and said, "You girl. Xiao Zui, such an excellent young man, didn't know how to seize the opportunity and went traveling. Now it's good, he has found another girlfriend." Su Qingni was slightly surprised. Xiao Zui actually found a girlfriend. She thought that after the Jie Shuang incident, this young man would return to his previous playful appearance and would no longer believe in so-called love. "Well, you don't know how upset I am every time I hear Xiao's mother bragging to me about how good her son's girlfriend is. No matter how good that girl is, can she be as good as you?" Su's mother said, "You must find a boyfriend who is better than Xiao Zui, understand?" Yet. Su Qingni agreed perfunctorily, listening to Su's mother's nagging in her ears. Her mind has turned to other places, and she ignored Su's mother's nagging. Finally, Su's mother nagging was enough. Su Qingni rubbed her ears, and stood up to leave. Sister Su's family also stood up and left, But their family lived very close to the Su family, all in the same community. Sister Su and her husband lived with her parents-in-law, and her parents-in-law were good friends with Su's father and mother. The two families were well matched and lived in the same community. Sister Su and her brother-in-law were childhood sweethearts and had a great relationship. Back at the villa, Su Qingni found that her neighbors had also returned to modern times. She was talking on the phone. Looking at the blush on her cheeks and the happy expression on her face, this girl was talking on the phone with her boyfriend, right? Spring has passed, right? So many people are in love? Su Qingni didn't like to listen to people's love stories, so she took back her attention from her neighbor. Therefore, she didn't hear her neighbor call her boyfriend's name. The modern world is leisurely. Su Qingni sleeps until she wakes up naturally every day, eats, drinks, surfs the internet and plays games. If Su's mother didn't call her to urge her to find a boyfriend, it would be fine. Carrying a pile of garbage out of the door, Su Qingni saw two people walking out of the door next door. One is naturally her neighbor, and the other is also an acquaintance. Xiao Zhuge. It turns out that Xing Zuxu's boyfriend is Xiao Zhuge. No wonder Xiao Zhuge regretted falling in love with another woman so quickly after experiencing Jie Yishuang's incident. It's not surprising that it's Xing Zuxu. This one has the aura of a heroine. Then Xiao Zhuge is the hero, right? Miss Su. Xiao Zhuge also saw Su Qingni and greeted Su Qingni. Su Qingni smiled and greeted the two, threw away the garbage, and returned to the house. The door was closed, and her sharp five senses could clearly hear the conversation between the two people outside. Do you know my neighbor? This was Xing Zuxu asking, in a very casual tone, but Su Qingni could hear a little bit of tension and vigilance in her words. Su Qingni couldn't help laughing. Did she regard herself as a love rival? Xiao Zhuge's voice came in. He probably didn't notice his girlfriend's little thoughts. Miss Su was my attending physician. Our two families have business dealings. We are old friends. Old friends. Xing Zuxu said, in novels, usually men and women of similar ages and old friends' families will get engaged. You too. Xiao Zhuge finally heard his girlfriend's little thoughts, and hurriedly said, although we were dragged to a blind date by each other's mothers once, we didn't have that kind of intention towards each other. It was very awkward sitting together, and we finally finished a cup of coffee and quickly separated. Don't be poisoned by novels. There are not so many bloody things in reality. If I were engaged, how could I find a girlfriend? How could my mother treat you so well? Xing Zuxu giggled twice, obviously in a good mood, but still asked relentlessly, that Miss Su is so beautiful and elegant. I heard from you that she is also a doctor. She is so outstanding, and you are not tempted. That's because you don't know the girl's secret. Xiao Zhuge thought of the days when he asked Su Qingni to treat him. Su Qingni cured him, and he was grateful. He should think that Su Qingni was a kind-hearted doctor. However, Xiao Zhuge always felt fear from the bottom of his heart when facing Su Qingni. This girl is not an ordinary person. An ordinary person, can't match her. So you can only match me. Xing Zuxu snorted, she is a fairy in the sky, and I am just an ordinary orphan. I am not even worthy of carrying her shoes, right? No, no. Seeing that his girlfriend was angry, Xiao Zhuge quickly admitted his mistake and spit out all kinds of flattering love words without paying. He is worthy of being the young master Xiao who made all kinds of beauties come to him one after another and no one complained after breaking up. The means of coaxing girls are very superb. The two people had gone far away while talking. Su Qingni chuckled and went upstairs to her room. The computer in the room was turned on, and the group members in the chat group were discussing the recent weather. It's only October and the weather is getting cold. I've already put on a sweater. Yet, we're in the south and the weather is so cold. What will we do when winter comes? Do we have to wear 2 down jackets? I don't even dare to go out in winter. Chapter 235 Passerby 15. Seeing what the group members said, Su Qingni also noticed it. The winter in this world is getting colder every year. Some experts say that this is the Little Ice Age again, but Su Qingni feels the restlessness of the world and the change of rules. This is not the Little Ice Age, but the precursor to the arrival of the entire Ice Age. Within 20 years, the entire planet will be covered with ice and snow, and the temperature will drop directly to dozens of degrees below zero to 100 degrees below zero. The harsh climate and severe cold are not suitable for most organisms to survive. By then, not only animals and plants, but also humans will not be able to survive on this planet. If humans don't find a way, They are afraid of extinction. Su Qingni couldn't help but think of a movie she had seen, Snowpiercer. The reason why the people on the train can survive is that the perpetual motion machine developed by humans provides energy to keep the train running. What is a perpetual motion machine? A perpetual motion machine is an ideal existence. It is a machine that can always do work without external energy or energy input, which violates the law of conservation of energy. And in the absence of temperature difference, it continuously absorbs heat from seawater or air in nature and converts it into mechanical energy continuously, which violates the second law of thermodynamics. Perpetual motion machines are a concept that violates the current objective scientific laws and cannot be manufactured. Even if the technology of this planet is upgraded to a few more levels, it is impossible to manufacture a perpetual motion machine. Besides, even if a perpetual motion machine can be manufactured, how many people can a train running in the snow hold? How many people are there in the world? Do most people in the world have to die, and only a very small number of people will be preserved? This world is about to usher in the end of the world. Su Qingni walked to the window and looked at the sky outside the window. The sky tonight is very beautiful, and it is rare to see the twinkling stars in the sky. At this time, these stars turned into faces in Su Qingni's eyes, belonging to Su's parents, Su's eldest brother and sister-in-law, and Su's eldest sister-in-law and nephew. The original owner had a close relationship with his family, but after Su Qingni came, he had a much better relationship with the Su family. Feeling their sincere and selfless affection for him, Su Qingni did not want them to die in the catastrophe of the planet. However, if only a few of them survived in the world, they would not be happy, and they would not know how to live in the future, right? Su Qingni released all her consciousness at once. Perhaps because the end of the world was approaching, the rules of heaven and earth were being reorganized, and the constraints on Su Qingni almost disappeared. Her consciousness expanded and covered the entire planet. She saw elderly couples walking slowly across the street hand in hand. She saw teenagers running on basketball courts and football fields. She saw young couples laughing. She saw children building castles on the beach. She saw. These are human beings. Seeing how alive they are, how could she bear to watch them all die? Su Qingni thought of the merits she had bestowed on the primitive human race when she taught them various life skills. At that time, the merits bestowed by heaven directly gave her several great levels. If she saved all the humans on this planet, would merits befall her? Well, this idea is too mercenary. Even if merits did not come, she would find a way to help the humans on this planet. But, although her consciousness has expanded, her body is just that of a mortal, unable to contain 1,000th of her magic power. Without magic power, she cannot help this planet to resist this disaster. Therefore, if they want to survive the disaster, they have to rely on the people of this planet themselves. Su Qingni retracted her consciousness, and she had to start making some plans. 3 days later, some high-level officials on the planet received an invitation letter, inviting them to a place to tell them something that was related to the survival of the planet. The high-level officials did not treat this invitation letter as a prank. They could not take it lightly because they could quietly avoid the heavily guarded guards and send the invitation letter to their pillows. Of course, a gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall. These high-level officials will not go to the island written on the invitation letter in person, but send their most trusted people to go there. They took a plane to the island, and saw a mysterious man wearing a black cloak and a mask on his face standing on the island. "Hide your head and show your tail." A major general in military uniform snorted, and suddenly attacked the mysterious man, his right hand reaching for the mysterious man's mask. The mysterious man stepped on his right foot and flew backwards lightly, landing on the branch of a big tree behind him. What is this? Everyone was shocked. Is this the legendary King Guang in Rabbit Country? No, this is the magic flying technique in the legend of my country of Fu. No, this is the ninjutsu of my country of Nihon. This is... Quiet. The mysterious man spoke, and it was impossible to tell whether the voice was male or female, old or young. Now that everyone is here, I will take you to a place. I hope you will be mentally prepared. Everyone stared at the mysterious man, all on guard, thinking that if this man made a move that was not good for them, they would violently resist. But they only saw the mysterious man waving his right hand, and when everyone didn't understand what this move meant, their eyes blurred, and the environment around them had changed completely, and they actually appeared in a small forest. What's going on? Illusion. The mysterious man said, "This is not an illusion. But we have changed into a different world. Changed into a different world? Everyone used their fingers to pick their ears. Are their ears blocked? Why can't they understand what this sentence means? They understood every word, but when they put them together, they didn't understand. The mysterious man spoke again. This is no longer the world we originally lived in. We have traveled through time and space and came to another world, which is still in ancient times. Everyone had an expression of "you are lying, please make up your mind." The mysterious man snorted and said, "If you don't believe it, you can go and see it yourself. But the premise is not to disturb the lives of the people in this world. Otherwise, the threat is more powerful when it is not spoken." But everyone did not believe the mysterious man's words. They did not believe that they really came to another world. The mysterious man pointed to the 2 planes on the side. "I brought 2 planes for you. You can take the planes to the sky to see everywhere. Remember, don't disturb the people." The mysterious man emphasized again. Everyone looked at each other and boarded 2 planes in 2 groups. Some of them knew how to fly the planes. Soon, the planes took off and flew in 2 directions. Chapter 236 Passerby 16. After everyone left, the mysterious person, Su Qingni, jumped onto the branch of a big tree, sat down and closed her eyes to rest. She released her spiritual sense and followed the 2 planes. The people on the 2 planes did not believe Su Qingni's words, but reality soon slapped them in the face. The grove was just beside Suzhou City, and they quickly flew over Suzhou City. Looking at the ancient city, and the people in ancient costumes who were frightened by their plane and knelt down and kowtowed, these people could not deceive that it was just a film and television city below, and the people inside were all extras. The plane continued to fly forward, and they saw other cities, and saw the capital of this country in this world. The plane flew further, and they saw a chaotic Europe, Oceania that no one had set foot on, and North and South America where only indigenous people lived. Su Qingni waited for 10 days before the 2 planes returned to the grove. Everyone who got off the plane had excitement on their faces. It seemed that they had already started planning to send people to this world, plan the territory, and obtain the resources of this world. Su Qingni did not listen to them, and waved her hand and took them directly back to the modern world. "Are you a god?" someone asked. Most people thought that the mysterious man in front of them was a god, and only a god could take them through the 2 worlds. But there were also a small number of people who thought that the mysterious man might be a genius scientist who discovered the coordinates of another world and made an instrument to travel between the 2 worlds. Everyone stared at Su Qingni with burning eyes, wanting to get the ability to travel between the 2 worlds from her. Su Qingni said coldly, "This world is about to enter the Ice Age. At that time, the entire planet will be covered with ice and snow, and the temperature will drop to dozens of degrees below 0 to 100 degrees. The creatures on the planet cannot survive in such a harsh environment, and humans are facing extinction." Wow, a large basin of ice water poured down, chilling the excited people. "Sir, what did you say?" I said. Su Qingni patiently repeated what she had said. Everyone looked at each other, not wanting to believe the mysterious man's words. But the mysterious man had taken them through the 2 worlds before, and they didn't believe the mysterious man before. But the facts told them that the mysterious man did not lie to them. So, what the mysterious man said now is also true. Will the world they live in really usher in the end of the world? "Sir, how long will it take for our world to usher in the end of the world?" one of them asked Su Qingni with forced calmness. Su Qingni stretched out her right hand, with 3 fingers bent and the index and middle fingers standing upright. This was not a V for victory, but a symbol of 20 years, only 20 years. Everyone was shocked. There were only 20 years left, only 20 years. In these 20 years, how can they save their planet? Can they prevent the Ice Age from coming? Obviously impossible. Then they can only find a way to keep all the humans on the planet alive in these 20 years. But what can they do? Some people's first thought was SYNOPSIS, but they quickly abandoned it. Perpetual motion machines do not exist. Then build an underground base? Or let humans migrate to space? Underground bases are more operational. Migrate to space? Today, humans have just sent people to the moon. To develop aerospace technology to the point of migrating to space within 20 years? Dream on. For a moment, everyone felt desperate. Suddenly, they thought of a question, change to another world. There is no doomsday problem in that world. Everyone's eyes lit up and looked at Su Qingni eagerly. "Sir, can we immigrate to another planet?" Su Qingni nodded in appreciation. "Yes, Everyone breathed a sigh of relief and felt relieved. Thank you, sir. When will you bring the people on our planet to that world? Will you take them away all at once or in batches? Who said I want to take everyone on the entire planet to the ancient world? I don't have such a strong ability yet. At most, I can only take a few of you to another world. Ah. Then, how can the people in our world go to that other world? Everyone panicked again. Without the help of the mysterious person, how can they cross the world barrier? Su Qingni then took out the information she had prepared and threw it to the Major General of the Rabbit Country. This information contains the specific coordinates of the ancient world, as well as the information on establishing a space-time channel between two known worlds. You can study it yourself. I believe that 20 years is enough for you to study the information thoroughly and establish a space-time channel that can transfer all the humans and creatures on the planet. There are many geniuses in this world, and scientists are very powerful. Su Qingni believed that with their abilities and collective efforts, the space-time channel could be developed in less than 20 years. In addition, I emphasize again that you should not harm the natives of the other world. Su Qingni's eyes swept over the representatives of certain countries, otherwise, I will not let them go. After that, Su Qingni disappeared in front of everyone. This sudden disappearance frightened these people. In their eyes, only gods can do this, right? So, the people of certain countries felt a chill in their hearts. The mysterious man left, knowing the future of the world and the way for mankind to escape the crisis. These people did not delay any longer, and boarded their own planes one after another, went back to report to the top leaders, and then the top leaders of the world gathered to hold a meeting to share the information given by the mysterious man and call on scientists to quickly study the technology of making space-time channels. In less than 10 minutes, all the people on the island left. The deserted island returned to silence. After a while, a figure appeared behind a small tree. It was Su Qingni. She couldn't cast spells in her current mortal body. The reason she disappeared in front of everyone was that she used her spiritual sense to cover her figure, then ran behind a tree and hid, waiting for everyone to leave before reappearing. She walked to the shore, retracted her spiritual sense, and the yacht she had hidden also appeared. Su Qingni jumped onto the yacht, untied the rope tied to the stone, started the yacht, and left the island. About an hour after she left, several planes from different countries came to the island again. Their purpose was the same, which was to invite this mysterious master to their country. Unfortunately, they searched all over the island and didn't find the master. Back to her own villa, Su Qingni was thinking about a question: should she teach martial arts to the people of this world? If it was before the Ice Age, humans would not have been able to research the time and space channel. Then people with internal skills would have a better chance of surviving in severe cold conditions than ordinary people. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237, Passerby 17. Finally, Su Qingni decided to believe the scientists in this world. Because inner strength can enhance people's physique and improve their cold resistance, but the improvement is limited. At a temperature of dozens of degrees below zero, even if you have inner strength, you will be frozen into popsicles. Su Qingni occasionally paid attention to the progress of scientists. The best scientists and the most talented young people in the world gathered together, their wisdom collided, and one after another difficult points in the data were analyzed. Time passed quickly, and 5 years passed. Su Qingni found that the scientists and young geniuses had already roughly understood the knowledge points in the materials she gave, and there were only a few particularly difficult places left. They were brainstorming for research and discussion. Su Qingni retracted her consciousness and went to the front door to open the door. The door opened, revealing two smiling faces, Xingzuxu and Xiao Zhuge. When the two saw Su Qingni open the door, their smiles became bigger and they stretched out their hands together. One person held a small red festive box in his hands, and the other held a red wedding invitation in his hands. Su Qingni saw the wedding candy box and wedding invitations and smiled. "Are you getting married?" "Yes." Xingzuxu smiled. "We will hold the wedding next Saturday. Please go to the ceremony when you are free." Su Qingni took the wedding candy and wedding invitations and smiled. "I will definitely go. Do you want to come in and sit?" "No need." Xingzuxu refused the invitation. We still have to send wedding invitations to other people, so we won't come in and sit." After that, Xingzuxu took Xiaozuge away. Although Xiaozuge emphasized that he would never fall in love with Su Qingni, Xingzuxu just didn't want Xiaozuge to have too much contact with Su Qingni. Su Qingni opened the wedding candy box, took out a piece of chocolate from it, tore off the wrapping paper, and threw it into her mouth. It is worthy of a rich family holding a wedding. The wedding candies given out are all high-end goods. Su Qingni sat for a while, changed her clothes and went out. She deliberately didn't bring her mobile phone. She had expected that Su's mother must have received the wedding invitation. In order not to be nagged by Su's mother, she should hide away for a few days. On Saturday, Su Qingni wore a formal dress and went to a 5-star hotel to attend the wedding of Xiaozuge and Xingzuxu. After paying the betrothal gift, Su Qingni walked into the banquet hall. Just as she was about to find a corner to hide, she was discovered by Su's mother, who had been watching the entrance of the hall. "You still know how to hide?" Su's mother was so angry that she stretched out her finger and poked Su Qingni's forehead. "You dare to play this trick on me? You are really going backwards as you grow older. It's because I'm afraid of your nagging." Su Qingni giggled and said, "Won't I become younger if I go back to life? Isn't that good?" "Good." Su's mother almost swore, but quickly stopped the last word and said angrily, "What do you do all day long? You are already 30 years old, and you still don't find a boyfriend or get married. Do you really want to be a single aristocrat?" Su Qingni stuck out her tongue and said, "It's not that I want to, but my fate has not come. I can't meet the person I like, so I can only muddle along." "What kind of person do you like? I'll help you find one." Su's mother thought that she couldn't rely on her daughter, so she had to do it herself. "The person I like." Su Qingni thought of someone's face and said, "Even if I tell you, you can't find him." "Mother Su, you didn't even say it. How do you know I can't find him?" "Su Qingni, I like Dong Huang Taiyai." Mother Su was dumbfounded. "Who is Dong Huang Taiyai?" "Su Qingni, you can read 9 songs written by Chu Yuan." Mother Su laughed angrily. "Are you kidding me?" Su Qingni, "No, I'm telling the truth. My first love is Dong Huang Taiyai, and I haven't forgotten him until now." Mother Su was so angry that she turned her head and ignored this unfilial daughter. Su Qingni smiled. What she said was true. The wedding march sounded, and the groom entered the venue with the bride on his arm, appearing in everyone's sight. Seeing their outfits, all the guests took a breath. The bride and groom did not wear suits and wedding dresses, they wore traditional wedding dresses from the rabbit country. Both of them were dressed in red. The groom wore a bright red brocade robe with a high waist and jade pendants hanging on his waist, which made him look tall, long-legged and slim like a bamboo. The bride wore the same red brocade gown, which also made her look slim and long-legged. The two people's clothes were embroidered with dragons and phoenixes with gold and silver threads. The embroiderer's craftsmanship was very good, and the dragons and phoenixes were lifelike. People who came to the wedding had good eyes and could see that the dresses of the two newlyweds were very extraordinary. Not to mention that the dragons and phoenixes embroidered with the gold and silver threads were purely handmade, which definitely cost a lot of money, but even the brocade used to make the dresses was not an ordinary fabric. Their dresses would not be cheaper than the high-end wedding dresses from abroad. Not only that, the jade pendant on the groom's waist and the phoenix crown on the bride's head were both genuine. The value of these two things added up to at least tens of millions. The newlyweds' dresses were very beautiful, allowing everyone to see that the traditional dresses of their country were no worse than wedding dresses. Many young girls have decided to wear traditional wedding dresses instead of wedding dresses when they get married in the future. Of course, the premise is that their wedding dresses are as beautiful as the bride's wedding dress. These girls decided to wait a while and ask the bride where she ordered her wedding dress. The dress was naturally brought back by Xingzuxu from ancient times. The girls asked her to customize the wedding dress, which brought her several business deals. Xiaozuge seemed to have known that Xingzuxu could travel through the two worlds. He not only helped her cover up, but also helped her customize a plan to develop her career in ancient times. Su Qingni went to the ancient world and found that Xingzuxu had established her own business empire in the ancient world. However, this business empire is now in trouble. It was not the trouble caused by the government. Xingzuxu followed a strategy given by Xiaozuge to bribe and threaten many people in the court to be her backers. Her business empire is getting bigger and bigger, and her influence is getting bigger and bigger. Even these backers are not taken seriously by her. However, This world has begun to become chaotic. Someone finally stopped enduring the exploitation of corrupt officials and led a group of people to rebel. The ancient world has become a chaotic world, and Xingzuxu's business has suffered a huge blow. The soaps, perfumes, and even glass and other items she sells are all high-end products, and they are sold to powerful people. Nowadays, how can the rich and powerful have the heart to buy these high-end products? In troubled times, the most valuable things are food and gold and silver. Antiques and various luxury goods are not valuable at all. In the eyes of many people, they are all waste. At least, those who are making fans are. Xingzuxu's shop suffered heavy losses, and the business empire was collapsing. Chapter 238 Passerby 18. Su Qingni met Xingzuxu again in the ancient world. She was here to deal with the affairs of her business empire. Faced with this kind of man-made disaster, Xingzuxu had no choice. She could only close all the shops and prepare to return to the modern world with the antiques and gold that had been exchanged. There was no way, the business could not be done, so she had to go back to the modern world first. When this world is stable, she will come back then. Anyway, if she can build a business empire, she can build a second business empire. Even if she doesn't build a second one, she has made enough money in the ancient world over the years, and it has been converted into modern assets of more than 10 billion. Xingzuxu put the things she was going to take away into 3 large bags and was about to leave when the door was knocked. Xingzuxu stopped and opened the door. Outside the door was a little girl of 15 or 16 years old. The little girl is very beautiful, and her smile is as beautiful as an angel. Seeing this smile, Xingzuxu felt a little guilty and reluctant. If she leaves such a beautiful girl in the world of troubled times, can she be safe? This is the little girl that she has been with for many years. Watching her grow from a yellow-haired girl to a beautiful girl now, Xingzuxu has a sister-like feeling for her. She is reluctant to separate from the little girl, and she can't bear to leave the little girl alone in the troubled times. However, she can't take anyone away, so she can only leave the little girl and help her arrange a safe place. Why are you here? Are you not used to living in Master Li's house? Xingzuxu let the little girl into the room. The Master Li she mentioned is the family that Xingzuxu arranged to take care of the little girl. Xingzuxu saved Master Li's life. Master Li's hometown is in a remote mountain village, and he has decided to take his family back to his hometown for refuge. Xingzuxu thinks that Master Li's arrangement is not bad, and it is safer than many wealthy families in the city. So she entrusted the little girl to Master Li. The little girl shook her head and said, "I came here specially to see you. You are leaving soon? Really? You won't come back in the future, right?" Xingzuxu nodded and shook her head again. "I will come back. When the world is stable, I will come back to see you, so you have to take good care of yourself and wait for me to come back." The little girl begged, "Can't you stay with me when you leave?" Xingzuxu sighed helplessly, "It's not that I don't want to take you away, but I can't take you away. My hometown doesn't allow outsiders to go there." "Really?" The little girl was about to cry. Xingzuxu turned her head away, unable to bear the little girl's face. "I'm sorry, Chunyang." Chunya sniffed and changed the subject. "I made osmanthus cake by myself and brought it to you." "Thank you." Xingzuxu was moved and upset. She liked to eat osmanthus cake, so this child made it for her. She was only 8 or 9 years old at the time, and she learned to cook, and she did this for 6 or 7 years. Chunya brought out several plates from the basket she brought. In addition to the plate with osmanthus cake, there were also several snacks, which were also Xingzuxu's favorites. Chunya handed the chopsticks to Xingzuxu, and then picked up a pair of chopsticks, picked up a piece of osmanthus cake and put it on the plate in front of Xingzuxu. "Eat it quickly, you won't be able to eat the osmanthus cake I made myself in the future." Yet, Xingzuxu felt the sourness in her nose, picked up the osmanthus cake, and ate it in small bites. "It still tastes so good. Chunya really has a pair of skillful hands, but I don't have such good skills as hers. Obviously, with the same materials and the same production methods, I can't make such delicious osmanthus cake. Well, such delicious things should be shared with my husband." So, after eating only one piece of osmanthus cake, Xingzuxu stopped eating. "Why don't you eat it?" Chunya asked. "I want to save such delicious things to eat slowly. If I finish it all at once, there will be nothing to eat later." Xingzuxu replied with a smile. "I only took one piece." Chunya said, Her tone became a little strange, but one piece is enough, I put a lot of drugs in it. What? Xingzuxu was stunned for a moment when she heard this. Drugged? Chunyu actually drugged herself. Then, she felt dizzy, her eyes went black, and she fell forward. When she woke up, Xingzuxu found herself tied to a chair, and Chunyu sat opposite her, holding her chin with both hands, blinking her big eyes and staring at her. Chunyu, let me go quickly. Xingzuxu sighed. She thought Chunyu didn't want to leave alone, so she drugged her, and didn't think about anything else. No. Chunyu shook her head, looking like an innocent little girl. I finally caught you, how could I let you go? Chunyu, I really can't take you away, not that I don't want to take you. Xingzuxu said, if there's a way, I don't want to be separated from you. Chunyu laughed, and her smile was full of sarcasm. I know that the world where fairies are is inaccessible to mortals. What? Xingzuxu was a little confused. Chunyu smiled and said, you are actually a fairy, right? You suddenly appear and disappear. All those novel things you bring are from the fairy world, right? You. Xingzuxu widened her eyes, extremely shocked. How did Chunyu know the world she traveled to? She hid it so well, how could she find out? Chunyu said, you thought you hid it well, but when you and I met for the first time, I discovered your secret. That night, you thought I was asleep, so you went back to your own world. In fact, I was not asleep, I saw it all. You knew it all along? You were pretending to be stupid and lying to me. Xingzuxu was shocked. How old were you at that time? Chunyu chuckled, I was 8 years old at that time, but in fact, I was more than 8 years old. I have lived in the palace for more than 20 years, and I didn't expect to become an 8-year-old girl after my death. Rebirth. Xingzuxu exclaimed. Rebirth. Chunyu chewed on the word for a while and nodded, yes, very insightful, I was reborn. God is good to me, not only let me be reborn, but also let me meet you, a fairy. Xingzuxu felt that God was playing tricks on her, letting a time traveler like her meet a local reborn person. She was not on guard against the reborn person, so she fell flat on her face. Chunyu walked to the side of Xingzuxu, with a dagger in her hand. Putting the dagger next to Xingzuxu's neck, Chunyu spoke. Her voice was still as pleasant as before, but her tone was sinister, and people felt a chill in their hearts when they heard it. Tell me, how can we go to the world of fairies? Chapter 239 Passerby 19. Tell me, how can we go to the world of fairies? Xingzuxu did not answer. Chunyu was not a real girl, but a ruthless person who had fought in the palace. Seeing that Xingzuxu did not cooperate, Chunyu raised the dagger to one side of Xingzuxu's cheek and slashed it hard. Xingzuxu cried out in pain. A deep wound was cut on her cheek, and blood slid down her cheek. Xingzuxu was shocked. It's not that she hasn't seen blood in ancient times over the years, but she has never seen her own blood. At this moment, Xingzuxu's heart was filled with fear. She was worried that she would die. If she died in ancient times, would she be able to return to the modern times? Seeing Xingzuxu was frightened by her, Chunyu smiled and asked again, how can I go to the world of fairies? You can't go. Xingzuxu was frightened and screamed, you can't go. Because I'm not a fairy. Chunyu frowned, if you're not a fairy, you can't go to the world of fairies. It's really troublesome. She looked at Xingzuxu carefully, and suddenly, an idea came to her mind. If I transfer the fairy blood in your body to my body, will I become a fairy and go to the world of fairies? The malice in her eyes made Xingzuxu shudder. She didn't want to know how Chunyu would transfer her blood to her body. She intuitively felt that it would not be a pleasant experience. I will die, I will really die. Great fear enveloped Xingzuxu. Xingzuxu could no longer bear it. She screamed and disappeared into the ancient world with the chair. In the modern world, Xingzuxu appeared in her and Xiaozuge's bedroom with the chair. Xiaozuge was shocked to see Xingzuxu tied up with blood all over her face. He hurried forward to help Xingzuxu untie the ropes, checked Xingzuxu's injuries, and called the family doctor. Xingzuxu burst into tears and threw herself into Xiaozuge's arms. I almost thought I would die in ancient times. Xingzuxu trembled all over. This time, she was really scared. I don't want to go to ancient times again. Xiaozuge comforted Xingzuxu and finally calmed her down. The family doctor came and treated Xingzuxu's wound. Although the wound was on the face, it was just a simple dagger scratch. With modern medicine, Xingzuxu's face can be restored. Even if modern medicine cannot restore Xingzuxu's face, Xiao Zhuge thought he could ask Su Qingni for help. Holding the hot milk Xiao Zhuge gave her, Xingzuxu told her about her experience in ancient times. I didn't expect that Chunye was actually a reborn person. She stayed by my side just to find out my secrets and gain benefits. But she could never imagine that I traveled through time and space, and was not a fairy as she thought. She actually thought that I was a fairy. It turns out that the innocence she showed in front of me was all fake. Her acting skills are so good, she deserves to come from the palace. Ah! Xingzuxu screamed. What's wrong? Xiao Zhuge asked quickly. Xingzuxu sighed and said, I once believed Chunye's words and fed Chunye's uncle food mixed with poisonous grass, which killed that man. Now that I think about it, that man meant nothing to me. All the bad things about his uncle were said by Chunye. She used my hand to kill her uncle. As the closest person to her niece, her uncle had long discovered that Chunye was not his biological niece. So Chunye killed him, right? I actually made the knife that Chunye used to kill people. Xingzuxu couldn't help but feel angry and guilty. After harming Aniu for so many years, this was the first time she felt guilty. Xiao Zhuge held Xingzuxu's hands and comforted her. It's all in the past. You were used by Chunye without knowing it. It was Chunye who harmed people. Don't blame yourself too much. If the victim knew the truth, he would only blame Chunye, not you. Really? Xingzuxu asked weakly, trying to use someone else's mouth to dispel her guilt. Of course. Xiao Zhuge said with certainty. He didn't care whether the so-called uncle died unjustly or not. The most important thing was that his wife recovered her emotions. Xingzuxu let out a long breath, and suddenly, she cried again. Xiao Zhuge asked again with concern, what's wrong? Xingzuxu said with a bitter face, I escaped and didn't bring back the pack gifts. Inside are all the gains of my hard work in the ancient world over the years, worth more than 10 billion. It's gone just like that. Xiao Zhuge breathed a sigh of relief, smiled and hugged her in his arms. It doesn't matter, you have no money, but you still have me, I will support you. Turn your eyes back to the ancient world. Chunye's expression was all broken. She had planned for so long, but she didn't get anything. Xingzuxu disappeared under her nose. Damn it. She will definitely not come back after leaving, so how can she go to the fairy world to get the power of the fairy? Without those mysterious powers, how can she take revenge? Damn it. It's really abominable. If I had known, I would have killed Xingzuxu and obtained the power of the goblin from her flesh and blood. But now it's all in vain. Chunye's face was distorted, and it was as scary as defending against an evil ghost crawling out of hell. After standing in the room for a long time, Chunye left reluctantly. When her figure disappeared, Su Qingni appeared in the room. Seeing the 3 packages of gifts that Chunye regarded as despicable, Su Qingni took them over happily. These were unwanted and ownerless items, so of course they belonged to me if I picked them up. Su Qingni happily took away the 3 packages of gifts. There are many good things in them. There is the thin gold style written by Song Huzong Zhaoji, calligraphy written by Yu Shinan, and even Wang's is his Lanting collection preface. Su Qingni stayed in the ancient world for some time. She became interested in this reborn person named Chunye, and followed this woman to see what she was going to do. After Xingzuxu escaped, Chunye did not return to the family that Xingzuxu had arranged for her. She went directly to the capital, paid off the eunuchs in charge of the preliminary selection of concubines, and mixed in with the concubines. There had already been a rebellion against the court, but the emperor was still only thinking about selecting beauties. He was so foolish that it was no wonder that he lost the country left by his ancestors. Chunye changed her name to Luo Chunye. She was beautiful and her demeanor was even more seductive. She was noticed by the emperor at first sight and was immediately made a noble lady. Then, Su Qingni saw how Luo Chunye was making trouble in the palace. This girl did not come to win the emperor's heart and a high position. Her purpose in entering the palace was to take revenge. In a short period of time, many people died in the palace. Chapter 240 Passerby 20. Luo Chunye used all means to avenge all those who had grudges against her. Some people were killed by the emperor, while others were killed by her personally. She was like a god of death, and whoever came into contact with her would be unlucky. She didn't need to covet Xingzuxu's ability at all, she could take revenge on her own. The reason for coveting was that she thought Xingzuxu was a fairy, and fairies could live for a long time in legends and could stay young. To put it bluntly, Luo Chunaya was still for her own ambitions. Before all of Luo Chunaya's enemies died, the capital was breached. The rebels attacked the imperial city and entered the palace. Luo Chunaya, who already had the title of fairy concubine, met the leader of the rebels, a face that made her very familiar. That was Luo Aniu, the uncle of her body. The man who was designed by her to eat the food poisoned by Xingzuxu. You are not dead. Luo Chunaya screamed. Luo Yuangsu, formerly known as Aniu, looked at the woman who spoke and felt that she looked familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere. Do you recognize me? Luo Yuangsu asked. No, I don't. Luo Chunaya shrank her head and hid behind a palace maid. She didn't want to be recognized by Luo Yuangsu. It was a rare opportunity to have another life, and she didn't want to die. Luo Yuangsu frowned and asked someone to pull away the palace maids who were blocking Luo Chunaya, and his eyes were fixed on Luo Chunaya's face. He had a hunch that this woman was very important to him, and he had to remember who this woman was. Who is she? Luo Yuangsu asked the young eunuch beside Luo Chunaya. The young eunuch quickly replied, this is concubine Luo. Luo? Her last name is Luo. Luo Yuangsu's face sank. The young eunuch was frightened and quickly replied, yes, my surname is Luo. Haha. Luo Yuangsu laughed. It's really a case of searching for something in vain, but it comes to me without any effort. I was still thinking about where to find you, but I didn't expect you to jump out by yourself. Chunya, you've got the wrong person, you've got the wrong person. Luo Chunaya shook her head frantically, refusing to admit that she was Luo Chunaya. Humph, your face is 80% similar to my sister-in-law, and you still want to deny it. Luo Yuangsu stretched out his hand and pinched Luo Chunaya's chin. This face belongs to my niece, but it was occupied by you, an evil ghost. You also used this face to confuse the emperor, obtained the title of evil concubine, and destroyed my niece's reputation. Tell me, how should I deal with you and avenge my niece? Luo Chunaya struggled hard, but couldn't get rid of Luo Yuangsu's hand. She immediately changed her approach, with tears in her eyes, staring at Luo Yuangsu pitifully and saying, Uncle, I am Chun Yam. Luo Yuangsu snorted, evil ghost, you can't fool me. My niece was killed by you 10 years ago. You occupied my niece's body. When I found out, you wanted to kill me. Humph, I won't be fooled by you. Uncle, I am really Chun Yam. I am still here, and I have always been in this body. It's just that the evil ghost occupied my body, and I can't get her away. Luo Chunaya's eyes were full of tears. Don't kill her, if she dies, I can't live either. She thought that she could impress Luo Yuangsu by using the identity of Luo Yuangsu's niece, but she didn't know that Luo Yuangsu could become the leader of the rebel army, and his heart was already very hard, and he would never become soft easily. Moreover, Luo Yuangsu firmly believed that his niece had been killed by the evil ghost 10 years ago, and he didn't accept Luo Chunaya's words at all. Uncle. Luo Chunaya's tears fell like a little girl, looking as pitiful as she could be. Luo Yuangsu had no mercy at all, and just asked coldly, where's Xingzuxu? Where is the woman who took you away to feed me with poisonous grass? That woman is a fairy. Luo Chunaya hurriedly pushed everything onto Xingzuxu. She is a fairy, who can charm people's hearts. She helped the evil spirit occupy my body. Fairy. Luo Yuangsu didn't believe Luo Chunaya's words. Xingzuxu looked different from ordinary women, but how could she be a fairy? If she was a fairy, would she be so stupid to be deceived by Luo Chunaya and become her knife to harm people? If Xingzuxu was a fairy, would she use such a low method as poisonous grass to kill him? Yes, she really is a fairy. In order to pin the crime on Xingzuxu, Luo Chunaya tried her best to prove that Xingzuxu is a fairy. She told Luo Yuangsu all the unusual things she had discovered about Xingzuxu during these years. Luo Yuangsu was really interested. The world of fairies? Are there any methods to make people immortal? Luo Yuangsu turned to his confidants and said, you also heard what she said, right? Send the order to find Xingzuxu. If we can really find the world of fairies and obtain the method of immortality, I will share it with you. The confidants were overjoyed and agreed in unison, all sharpening their knives to find Xingzuxu as soon as possible. The temptation of immortality, who can refuse it? Luo Chunaya was slightly relieved, thinking that Luo Yuangsu had turned his attention to Xingzuxu and believed in her identity as a fairy. He believed her words, and as his niece, he should let her go, right? Unexpectedly, Luo Chunaya heard Luo Yuangsu's order. This person is possessed by an evil spirit. Tie him up and burn him with fire. No, you can't do this to me, I'm your niece. Luo Qingni screamed and struggled hard, but no matter how many ways she had to harm people, she was just an ordinary woman with little strength and could not break free from the soldier's bondage. My niece is dead. Luo Yuanxu said coldly, my niece won't want to kill me. Luo Qingni's rebirth was even worse than her previous life. In her previous life, although she died in a fight in the palace, at least she died comfortably and did not suffer. She died as soon as her eyes closed. In this life, she was burned to death, and the pain caused Luo Qingni's soul to collapse directly. Su Qingni watched from the side and saw that Luo Qingni had no chance of rebirth again, nor the chance to enter the underworld to reincarnate again. She had killed too many people in this life, and had too many sins to bear, and she actually took over the bodies of innocent people. These sins made her soul dissipate directly. Su Qingni saw the ending of Luo Qingni, and could also predict the ending of Luo Yuanxu. This person has changed a lot, and he is no longer the same as the previous Anu. He became the founding emperor of the new dynasty, but this emperor was bent on pursuing the illusory immortality. The ending of this emperor and country can be predicted. Qin died, and it is unknown whether this new dynasty can last until the second emperor. You know, although Luo Yuanxu became the emperor, there are still many forces that have not surrendered to him. Sure enough, the new dynasty fell apart within 10 years, and Luo Yuanxu was betrayed by his trusted subordinates. Chapter 241 Passerby at 21. Luo Yuanxu's experience can also be written into a novel, The History of the Rise of a Small Person. Unfortunately, he was ultimately unable to resist the temptation, and he killed himself and destroyed the foundation he had established. After Luo Yuanxu's death, the country fell into war again, and various forces began to fight to seize the supreme position. However, just as they were still fighting for the deer, a force suddenly appeared. There were not many people in this force, but they were all strong, and the weapons they carried were even more powerful. Their weapons could spit fire, and they could fire the so-called bullets and cannonballs. With one shot, half of the city wall would collapse. With the assistance of such powerful weapons, these people quickly defeated other forces and established a new regime. However, this regime had no emperor. They promoted democracy and freedom and improved the status of every citizen. They gave the people high-yield grain seeds, taught the people to plant scientifically, and used practical and efficient agricultural tools. The people's fields had a bumper harvest that year, and the grain they got was more than what they had harvested in 10 years. The people finally don't have to go hungry. From eating only porridge twice a day to eating drier rice 3 times a day, there is a surplus of food. Just this one item, the new regime has been supported by the people. Even if those who still want to fight for the world recruit people, no people are willing to serve them. If someone else is in power, can they still have the good life they have now? Those who establish a new regime are naturally from modern society. The time and space channel has been established. A group of people will test the time and space channel as pioneers, and first come to the ancient world to establish a base to prepare for the large number of immigrants to come to this world. The territory of the ancient world is the same as that of the modern world. Countries only need to enclose land in the ancient world according to the territory of their own capital in the modern world. Countries such as the United States are the least troublesome. Now there are no countries in America, only indigenous people, and they easily occupy the territory of America. However, because of the warning of the mysterious man, they dare not kill the indigenous people, but only use gentle means to subdue the indigenous people and make them citizens of their own country. Su Qingni watched the ancient world develop little by little, and watched technology change the world. However, because of the mysterious man, people in the modern world did not use too radical means to transform the world, but used gentle means to improve the world bit by bit. But no matter how gentle it is, for a very backward world, the change is huge. In just 5 years, the ancient world has changed completely. Electric lights and electrical appliances have entered every family, thatched houses have become brick houses, and the update of farm tools has added many idle hands to farmers, who have been recruited into various factories. Industry is developing rapidly. Su Qingni returned to the modern world, and she felt the restlessness in the air and the restlessness of the entire society. Winter is colder, and even spring and autumn have become the same temperature as in previous winters, only the temperature in summer is slightly higher. Everyone felt something was wrong, and the topic of doomsday was brought up. Su Qingni returned to the Su family. Mother Su has now given up on getting her youngest daughter married. She is now focusing on her grandson and grandson. The grandson is still young, but the grandson is already in his 20s and it's time to talk about a girlfriend. Mother Su has sorted out the information of many girls and is preparing to take her grandson to a blind date. Father Su and big brother Su stayed in the study. The cold weather had a significant impact on their business. Nowadays, except for the merchants selling down jackets and duvets and the popularity of hospitals, other industries are very depressed. Father Su and big brother Su are worried about their own business, but they have no way to change this situation. After all, other people's businesses are in the same situation. Su Qingni knocked on the door and walked into the study after Father Su allowed her to enter. "Dad, big brother, are you worried about your business?" Su Qingni asked. "Yes." Brother Su said, "Do you have any way to help improve it?" Su Qingni shook her head. "I have no way. I think you don't have to worry about it." "What do you mean?" Father Su asked. "Do you want me and your brother to end our family business?" Su Qingni nodded. "Yes, let's end it as soon as possible." "Little sister, what are you talking about?" Brother Su thought his sister knew nothing about business, and said, "How can a business be ended just like that? There are many aspects involved. Let alone other things. If the company is closed, how should the employees inside be arranged? Are they all fired? That will cause trouble." "I know, but I got a piece of news." "Dad, brother, you have to make arrangements in advance." "What news?" Father Su asked. His daughter has been running around outside these years. Maybe she really got some great news. Su Qingni said, "Inside information, the world is about to enter an ice age." "What? What ice age?" Father Su heard words that had nothing to do with his own company and couldn't react for a while. Su Qingni, the ice age is also called the glacial period. At that time, the land and ocean of the entire planet were covered with ice, and the surface temperature dropped sharply, making it difficult for humans to survive on the surface of the planet. "How is that possible?" Su's father said, "Humans cannot survive on the surface of the planet, so they will become extinct." Su Qingni stared at Su's father without saying anything, using her eyes to convey the meaning of "you are right." "Ridiculous." Su's father said, "You have read too many online novels, right?" Brother Su also said, "Little sister, are you taking the rumors on the internet seriously?" "It's not an online rumor." Su Qingni said, "It's internal information. In less than a year, the planet will enter the ice age. By then, our company will not be able to operate." Su's father. Brother Su. After a long silence, Su's father said, "If this news is true, the government will definitely take corresponding measures." Su Qingni, the government already has a way. In half a year, the entire planet will start an immigration plan to relocate the entire planet's people to another world. "It's another planet, right?" Brother Su thought his little sister had said something wrong. "Another world." Su Qingni said, "Thanks to the great scientists, they found another world where humans can live, and established a time-space channel to allow people to migrate to that world to live." Brother Su reached out and touched Su Qingni's forehead. "Little sister, you don't have a fever, right? Why are you talking nonsense?" "I'm not talking. If you don't believe me, go and ask for yourself." Chapter 242 Passerby at 22. "I'm not talking nonsense." Su Qingni patted Su's elder brother's hand. "If you don't believe me, you can find out the situation yourself. Now this news is not too confidential. As long as you have connections, you can find out." Su's father and elder brother looked at each other. "Okay, I'll ask someone about the situation tomorrow," Su's father said. Su Qingni nodded. "You guys hurry up and make preparations." After that, she stood up and left the study. Su's father and elder brother looked at each other, and elder brother Su said, "Dad, do you think what my little sister said is true or false?" Su's father said, "It should be true. With your sister's temper, it's impossible for her to make up a lie to tease us." "Yes." Elder brother Su thought it was. "I'll go find Tan Cheng tomorrow." Tan Cheng is a friend of elder brother Su, who lives in Beijing and has a high status. 2 days later, Su's father and elder brother Su began to deal with the closure of the company, and Su's mother, sister-in-law Su, and elder sister Su's family all began to prepare for immigration. Half a year later, it was the hot summer. But this summer was not hot at all. Instead, the temperature was very low, the same as the temperature in late autumn in previous years. Even in the dog days of summer, people had to wear 2 sweaters. Just when everyone was panicking, all the countries in the world issued a notice. The notice had 2 contents. First, The planet was about to enter an ice age, and at that time, the planet would no longer be suitable for human habitation. Second, scientists had developed a time-space channel and found another world, and people all over the world could migrate to live in another world. The whole planet was in an uproar. Most people believed this notice. After all, the current temperature has foreshadowed the arrival of the ice age, and if migration to another world cannot be achieved, the government will not announce it. Everyone was still panicking about the first news at first, but after seeing the second news, the panic disappeared by more than half, and everyone began to wonder what the other world was like. There were many speculations on the internet. Some speculate that the other world is a parallel world of this world, some speculate that it is a primitive world where humans have not yet appeared, some speculate that it is an ancient world, some speculate that it is a magic world, some speculate that it is a martial arts world. Even the world of Fengshen Bang, Naruto world, and One Piece world have been mentioned, but they were beaten out by most netizens. Going to these worlds to seek death? Xingzuxu did not expect that her world would usher in the end of the day, just as she did not expect that she would travel to another world. Her life is full of surprises scares. It's a pity that I can only travel to the ancient world alone, and I can't take you to the ancient world. Xingzuxu was a little dissatisfied with her ability to travel. Xiaozuge comforted her, "It doesn't matter, we can live in another world. To be honest, I feel very lucky. Look at those worlds that ushered in the end of the world in the novels. How miserable are people's lives. Unlike us, when the end of the world comes, we can find a way out and let people all over the world survive. In comparison, we are really too lucky." Xingzuxu thought about it and no longer complained about her ability. She packed her luggage and followed the team to the space-time channel with Xiaozuge. The Su family came with them, and they entered the space-time channel in the same batch. Xingzuxu's eyes blurred and she found that the environment around her had changed. She was very experienced in time travel and knew that she had come to another world. Someone in this world received them, made arrangements for them, and distributed a booklet to everyone who came to this world. The booklet contained information and maps of this world. Seeing the information, Xingzuxu felt very familiar. This is not. What's wrong? Xiaozuge saw his wife's expression change drastically and asked worriedly. "Husband, this world is the ancient world I traveled through." Xingzuxu grabbed Xiaozuge's clothes and said, "Is this the world you have traveled through?" Xiaozuge was also surprised to hear this. The world discovered by scientists is the world his wife traveled through. Is there any connection between the two? Could it be that the fluctuations of his wife's travel through time were captured by scientists, so they discovered this world? Then is it that Xingzuxu's ability to travel through two worlds was also discovered? Xingzuxu also thought of this problem. The two looked at each other, and fear and worry rose in their hearts. It should be fine. Xiaozuge comforted Xingzuxu, "If they want to harm you, they will catch you." Xingzuxu thought about it and let go of half of her worries, but she was still very uneasy and uncomfortable. She felt that she had been carefully hiding the secret, but it had been known by others a long time ago. It looked like a joke. The Su family was not far away from them, and Su Qingni was naturally not far away from them. She heard the conversation between the two. Su Qingni glanced at the two and did not speak the truth to comfort them. Anyway, after a while, the two found that no one came to disturb them, and they would naturally feel relieved. With the government's planned arrangements, the immigrants quickly settled down in the new world, and gradually integrated with the natives of this world after mutual surprise. After all, the immigrants are outsiders. Although they think that modern people have more knowledge than ancient people, they are outsiders after all. They don't understand this world as deeply as the natives, and dare not look down on the natives too much. What's more, the government has spoken out, and it is strictly stipulated that they must not look down on the indigenous people or harm the indigenous people. Life has settled down, and the government and scientists have not given up the original world. The original planet has entered the Ice Age, and it is impossible to survive there for a long time, but as long as they are well equipped, they can still live there for a short period of time. All countries have sent expedition teams to return to the original world through the Time and Space Channel, set up observation stations in the original world, and replaced a group of people to station at the observation stations every once in a while to conduct various aspects of the original world. No one will give up the original world, after all, this is everyone's home. They are waiting for the day when the ice and snow melt, waiting for the planet to return to normal, and everyone can return to this world again. The waiting time will definitely be very long, and it is possible that dozens or even hundreds of generations will not be able to wait. However, everyone will not give up. They can no longer return to their hometown, but their descendants can return to their hometown. Xingzuxu and Xiaozhu lived in fear all their lives, and they never waited for the scientists who caught Xingzuxu for research until they died. When he closed his eyes, Xingzuxu breathed a long sigh of relief. Chapter 243, Qingtong Yi. Saving people is indeed a merit, no matter which world it is in. Su Qingni saved the entire planet this time, and the merit is enormous. Su Qingni went into seclusion directly after returning to the Lich Star, and this seclusion lasted for thousands of years. When Su Qingni came out of seclusion, her cultivation was already at the peak of the quasi-saints, and she was only a hair's breadth away from becoming a saint. It was really only a hair's breadth, but it was very difficult to cross this hairline. Seeing Su Qingni's cultivation at the moment, Empress Pingxin sighed and said, "It's a pity that there is no Hongmeng purple key now, otherwise you can become a saint immediately." Su Qingni is very open-minded. She is not obsessed with becoming a saint, and quasi-saint is also very good. Becoming a Daluojingxin can break away from the long river of fate and become an immortal being. Saints just have an additional benefit of not being affected by cause and effect and doing anything. As long as they are careful in doing things and don't take the initiative to be affected by cause and effect will not affect them much. It doesn't matter whether you become a saint or not. Of course, if there is a chance, she would naturally want to become a saint. I think the Hongmeng purple key only adds a few more opportunities to become a saint. Even if there is no Hongmeng purple key, as long as you have the opportunity and work hard, you still have the opportunity to become a saint. Did you become a saint? Lady Pingxin nodded, thinking that what Su Qingni said was right, and no longer felt sorry. Su Qingni said goodbye to Lady Pingxin and went to the prehistoric world in the Earth. In 1,000 years, the two worlds have changed a lot. The Earth has completely entered the interstellar era. The Earth civilization occupies a quarter of the Milky Way and has formed a galactic alliance with other civilizations in the Milky Way to fight against the civilizations of other galaxies. Technologies such as mechas, starships, and wormhole jumps are already common. Any Earthling can learn the relevant basic knowledge in high school. Su Qingni spent a little time learning the most advanced knowledge on Earth today. She didn't want to travel to an interstellar world and become illiterate one day. Su Qingni didn't take the initiative to inquire about the news from the Demon Clan, and Bizel listed the news of that person as a secret of the Demon Clan. Su Qingni didn't know how that person recovered. But there was a trace of worry in her heart. She buried these worries in her heart and prepared to start traveling again. I am the dividing line after traveling. Su Qingni traveled to the Qing dynasty for the first time, but it was not the Qing dynasty in history, but the Qing dynasty derived from some film and television novels. After all, there were no heroes with high martial arts in the Qing dynasty in history, and there were no organizations such as Xianzhu that existed in novels. The original body that Su Qingni possessed now was a lady of an official family. Although she was a Han Chinese, she was a Han army flag. The father of the original body was a fourth-rank official, and his daughter had to participate in the selection. The original body was a legitimate daughter, and had a concubine sister who was about the same age as her. This concubine sister was born to her father's favorite concubine, so she was favored by Su's father and her status in the mansion was no lower than that of the original body, the legitimate daughter. The death of the original body was related to this concubine sister. This concubine sister also wanted to participate in the selection. After knowing that the legitimate daughter and concubine daughter participated in the selection together, the concubine daughter's result would definitely not be as good as the legitimate daughter. The ambitious concubine sister attacked the original body. Poor original body, lost her life for no apparent reason. After receiving this body, Su Qingni found out what her concubine sister had done. She had no intention of keeping her concubine sister to continue to trouble herself, but she also knew the extent of Su's father's partiality, so she did not give Su's father the evidence of the evil deeds done by her concubine sister and her aunt. Instead, she arranged the Buddha statue to fall down and crush the two of them when they were burning incense, causing their legs to be broken. Even if they were cured, they would still be disabled. Then she asked someone to spread the news, saying that the concubine sister and her aunt were too vicious, which caused the Buddha to be angry and punished them by breaking their legs. After the news spread outside, Su Qingni handed the evidence of what the mother and daughter had done to the original mother. Although the original mother was cowardly by nature and was overshadowed by the concubine, this time it involved her daughter's life. If it weren't for her daughter's good luck, she would have died. The protective mother of Su cheered up, called other members of the Su family and her own family, and threw the evidence in Su's father's face, asking him to give an explanation. No matter how much Su's father doted on his concubine, there was nothing he could do. The evidence was irrefutable, and the reputation of the concubine and her daughter was already bad. He couldn't cover up for them even if he wanted to. Moreover, after seeing the evidence, Su's father found that the concubine who was gentle, kind, and beautiful in front of him was actually so vicious. He had several concubines who were beautiful and pleasing to him before, but they were killed by this concubine. And she even said in her ear that those people were tortured to death by the wife. This woman is terrible. Su's father's impression of the concubine plummeted, and he didn't protect the mother and daughter. The concubine was sent directly to the temple. As for the concubine's daughter, she was lame and could not participate in the draft. She married a widower as a concubine and sent her away. After dealing with the concubine and her daughter, the sky in the backyard of the Su family was much bluer. Because of the existence of the concubine and her daughter, there were not many women in Su's father's backyard, and no woman gave birth to a son. This is naturally because the concubine cannot give birth, and other women are not allowed to give birth. Now that the concubine and her daughter have fallen, only Su's mother and two concubines are left in Su's father's backyard. The two concubines are honest and respectful to Su's mother. They and Su's mother were suppressed by the concubine before, and they formed an alliance. Now that the concubine is gone, all three of them breathed a sigh of relief. The affection formed over the years did not disappear because the concubine was gone, nor did they fight for the favor of Su's father. The main reason is that they think they are not young anymore. They are over 30 years old. How can they still have the mind to compete for the favor of men, like a little girl? The three of them have let it go. Su Qingni understands the difference between modern people and ancient people in their views on age. In the eyes of modern people, the age of early 30s is not young at all. Many leftover women are not married at this age. More pregnant women are pregnant in their 30s. Su Qingni thinks it's good for Su's mother and two concubines to be pregnant now. With her around, there is no need to worry about the danger of childbirth. It would be better for Su's mother to have a son, and it would be better for the two concubines to have daughters, so as not to give them unrealistic ideas after having a son. Su Qingni took charge of the kitchen at home under the pretext of learning housekeeping, and prepared different meals for Su's mother and two aunts, while conditioning their bodies and increasing their chances of pregnancy. She also conditioned her cheat father so that he could still sew. After more than 3 months, all three of them were pregnant. All three were very surprised, and they all stayed in their own yards to take care of the fetus. The relationship between the three did not change because of the pregnancy. After all, they were just pregnant, and it was not certain whether they would have a boy or a girl. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, Qing Dynasty II. Fortunately, the two concubines were able to keep calm. After the three gave birth, the wife of the main house gave birth to a legitimate son, and the two concubines gave birth to daughters. The little thoughts that they had been instigated by others completely disappeared, and they followed Su's mother wholeheartedly from then on. As for the person who instigated them, it was naturally the concubine that Su's father took in later. The concubine wanted the two concubines to fight with Su's mother, so that she could reap the benefits and get pregnant when she had the chance. She was still young and could have given birth to several children. She was sure to give birth to a son. But she didn't know that the dishes Su Qingni gave to Su's father would make it impossible for Su's father to get pregnant again after eating. She would never have her own child in this life. After dealing with the affairs in the backyard of the Su family, Su Qingni began to practice martial arts with peace of mind. This world is a martial arts world. According to the news she asked the servant to inquire from outside, the martial arts value in this world is not low. Su Qingni must quickly practice good skills to have the power to protect herself. After all, it is not safe to be in the backyard of an official's family. The knights and the rivers and lakes were high-handed against the government, and killed officials under the slogan of anti-Qing and restoration of Ming. Father Su was not a corrupt official, but he was not a very good official either. Who knows when he will be remembered by the people in the rivers and lakes. Su Qingni decided to teach her brother martial arts when he grows up so that he can also protect himself. She doesn't count on Father Su. Because of the existence of rivers and lakes, the world is not very strict in terms of the control of women. Su Qingni, a lady from an official family, can also go shopping with her maid, instead of being unable to step out of the second door like in the Qing dynasty in history. Su Qingni hired a small boat with her trusted maid Amber, who she promoted, and rowed on the lake. It was summer, and the lake shore was shaded by green trees, and the blue sky and clear water made the scenery extremely beautiful. The breeze gently blew, bringing a strand of hair, and also brought a cool breeze, blowing away the summer heat. Everything was so peaceful and beautiful. Su Qingni sat in the middle of the boat, boiled water with a small red clay stove, brewed tea leaves, and held up the teacup in the fragrance of tea. Suddenly, a burst of shouting and killing disturbed the tranquility. Su Qingni stood up and looked into the distance. The source of the shouting and killing was quite far away from Su Qingni's boat, and it happened on a pleasure boat. It was vaguely seen that the officers and soldiers were fighting with a group of people. Miss Amber asked Su Qingni's opinion in a low voice, should we get out of the way? Su Qingni responded, this kind of troublesome thing is naturally avoided, and only fools will get close to it. The boatman who rowed the boat was also eager to get away, knowing that if they were discovered by those who were killing, they might lose their lives. Upon hearing Su Qingni's words, the boatman immediately turned the bow and rowed in the direction of his thoughts. Away from the right and wrong place, Su Qingni no longer had the mood to cruise the lake. Just as she was about to let the boatman dock, she saw a person floating over in the lake. Su Qingni didn't want to intervene at first. Whether this person was dead or alive was none of her business. However, Su Qingni saw the jade pendant on the man's waist, which was in the shape of a four-clawed dragon, so she had to intervene. After all, Su's father was still an official in this area. If the prince really died in this area, Su's father would also be convicted. She was living a good life now, and she didn't want to go to Niangniang to live. Amber, fish the person out. Su Qingni ordered. Amber has also learned Kung Fu from Su Qingni over the years, and her skills are pretty good. In the rivers and lakes of this world, she is also at the level of a second-rate master. After listening to Su Qingni's order, he stepped on the ground, flew to the side of the man in the lake, reached out to pick up the man's clothes, and hat down with his left palm, using the reaction force to fly back to the boat. Su Qingni walked up to check on the man. This was a young man of 17 or 18 years old, with a bright nose and thin lips, and was quite handsome. There were 2 scars on the young man's body, one on his thigh and one on his back. The wounds were stained white by the lake water, and he had lost too much blood. If he was not treated in time, he would die. Su Qingni tore off the young man's coat, bandaged the wound simply, and asked Amber to take the man back to the mansion. Back at the mansion, Su Qingni arranged the young man to the outer courtyard, and quickly asked someone to invite a doctor to treat the young man. When the doctor applied medicine to the young man and saved his life, Su's father rushed in angrily. You rebellious girl, you are so shameless that you bring a foreign man into the mansion. You are shameless, but I still have my face. Su's father sprayed at Su Qingni. Su Qingni snorted coldly and said, Father, you'd better see clearly who I am bringing back first. Father Su said angrily, who can you save? Isn't he just a wild man? Father. Su Qingni raised her voice, it is true that birds of a feather flock together. Father has been with Aunt Zhang for so long that he has learned her vulgarity. You'd better open your eyes and see who is lying on the bed. You followed the governor to meet the emperor. You should have seen the princes around the emperor, right? What? Father Su was not a fool. If he was a fool, he would not have become a 4th-rank official. He was just instigated by his favorite concubine and acted stupidly. After listening to his daughter's words, he realized that the person he saved was not ordinary. He hurried forward a few steps and looked at the bed. After taking a look, he took a deep breath and knelt down hurriedly to salute. Your servant greets the 13th prince. I wish you good luck. The 13th prince in a coma. Su Qingni laughed in her heart twice, and then walked forward. Father, the 13th prince is still in a coma. You should get up first. Oh. Father Su stood up, and his eyes softened when he looked at Su Qingni. You did a good job this time and made great contributions. Su Qingni just smiled. Father, How are you going to deal with Aunt Zhang? She ruined my reputation. I can ignore it, but she called the 13th prince a wild man. This is a crime of slandering the royal family. Our family can't afford it. The expression on Father Su's face froze. He was reluctant to part with Aunt Zhang. Most of the wives and concubines in the family were not young, and only Aunt Zhang was young and beautiful, which suited his heart, so Aunt Zhang developed an arrogant character. Since father is reluctant to let go, forget it. I think the 13th prince is magnanimous and will not bother with a woman in the backyard like Aunt Zhang. The meaning of these words, Su's father, a veteran official, would not fail to hear. Threats, naked threats. The 13th prince would not bother with a woman in the backyard, but would the Defi who raised the 13th prince not bother with Aunt Zhang? And the emperor, he would not bother with Aunt Zhang, but he would bother with himself, the head of the family. If the emperor blames, I am your father. Su's father stared at Su Qingni. He didn't believe that Su Qingni would really spread this matter. Su Qingni chuckled. Chapter 245, Qingchuan III. Su Qingni's smile made Su's father feel uneasy. Ever since the incident with the concubine's daughter, Su's father felt that his daughter had changed and became scary. It's just that a concubine in the family scolded the royal prince. The emperor will not take my life, nor will he search your house. At most, he will dismiss you from your official position on the grounds that my father does not manage the harem well. Even without the official position, our family still has mother's dowry, and my brother and I will not go hungry in the future. You evil daughter. Su's father pointed at Su Qingni and trembled with anger. Su Qingni looked at Su's father with a smile. It's not that she couldn't tolerate Su's father's other women, but this concubine Zhang was too arrogant. She dared to challenge Su's mother in her authority, and even wanted to manage the household herself. Su Qingni couldn't tolerate her. Su's father was frightened by Su Qingni's smile, and finally compromised. Come here, hand Aunt Zhang to madam, and let madam deal with her. Su Qingni's smile widened. Father, I will go to mother in a while and ask mother to help you choose 2 more beauties. Humph. Su's father waved his sleeves and wanted to leave, but when he saw the person on the bed, his steps stopped. He still had to stay with the 13th prince to earn performance. Su Qingni smiled and went out. 13th prince, please take care of it, father. After saying that, she left directly. When they arrived at the main courtyard where Su's mother lived, they saw the servants dragging Aunt Zhang, who was crying and snotting, over. Seeing Su Qingni coming, Aunt Zhang's eyes were blazing with fire, spewing out hatred. I curse you. Aunt Zhang spewed a vicious curse at Su Qingni. She hated and regretted it. She hated that her methods were not smart enough and could not compare with this young lady. She couldn't help but regret that if she had known that this young lady was so capable, she would not have provoked her. It was too late to regret now. She could only turn her unwillingness and resentment into curse. She would not be able to get away with it if she cursed this person. Shut her mouth for me. Su's mother said angrily. She quickly stepped forward and grabbed Su Qingni's hand, saying, Mom will take you to Yunlin Zen Temple tomorrow and let the monks help you resolve the curse. Su Qingni patted the back of Su's mother's hand and comforted her. Mother, it's okay. If anyone's curse can come true, then wouldn't the world be in chaos? Aunt Zhang's curse on me is useless. Su's mother said, don't be careless. It's hard to say about curses from ghosts and gods. You will go to Yunlin Zen Temple with me tomorrow. Okay. Su Qingni could only agree to give Su's mother psychological comfort. Aunt Zhang was dragged away with her mouth covered. Her fate from then on was the same as that of her sister's biological mother. Su's mother pulled her daughter into the house and asked with concern, why did you bring a man home casually? Even if it was to save someone, you could have just sent him to the clinic directly. How could you bring him home? Isn't this handing the handle to others? Fortunately, your father didn't listen to Aunt Zhang's instigation for some reason, but punished Aunt Zhang instead. Don't do this next time. Su Qingni chuckled and said, Father is not having a seizure, but the person my daughter rescued is not ordinary. Not ordinary. That person is the 13th prince. My daughter brought him back home after seeing the dragon-shaped jade pendant he was wearing, which only the prince could wear. If we had sent him to the clinic and something happened during that time, our family would not be able to afford it. So that's the case. Su's mother was still frightened. You did the right thing. That person is a noble man, and no more accidents can happen. Those people in the rivers and lakes are really bold. They actually dared to assassinate the prince of the current dynasty. They are simply lawless. Su Qingni laughed in her heart. They didn't recognize the rule of the Qing dynasty at all, so they naturally would not abide by the laws of the Qing dynasty. However, the anti-Qing forces in this world are all a group of scattered soldiers and vagrants, without unified leadership, and each of them acts on their own. Apart from causing some minor troubles to the Qing court, they can't cause any substantial losses. Su Qingni feels that it is better to rebel by herself than to rely on these people to overthrow the Qing court. However, rebellion is too troublesome, and Su Qingni doesn't want to do it. It's too troublesome. Maybe if she meets someone capable, she can help. But whether that person can overthrow the Qing court depends on that person's own ability. Su Qingni's impression of the Qing dynasty is neither too good nor too bad. Emperors Kangxi and Yongzheng did a good job, but the Qing court's servile rule over the people made Su Qingni very unhappy, and broke the backbone of the Chinese people. In addition, the Qing court's closed-door policy made the country lag behind the Western powers, resulting in the country's borders being breached and the country being humiliated for more than 100 years. From this point of view, it is better for the Qing court to be overthrown as soon as possible. Su Qingni pinched her chin and thought. But even though she thought so, Su Qingni would not do such a thing in person. "Madam, Miss, the master has sent a message that a distinguished guest is coming. Please arrange the best banquet to entertain the guest." The attendant beside Su's father came in to report. "What kind of distinguished guest is it? How many people are there?" Su Qingni asked. The little maid replied, "There are a total of 16 people coming, 2 are masters, and the other 14 are guards." Su Qingni said to Su's mother, "Mother, the people who came must be here for the 13th prince, and the 2 masters are probably the other 2 princes. You ask the kitchen to prepare the best meals, and let Madame Su go to the big kitchen to watch, and there must be no mistakes." Su's mother nodded repeatedly and sent the most trusted nanny around her out. Su's mother is worthy of being the mistress of the house. Su Qingni only nodded at the beginning. The series of orders she gave were more comprehensive than Su Qingni thought. She even asked people to clean up the guest house, in case the distinguished guest wanted to stay in the Su mansion because of the 13th prince's matter. As a result, Su's mother guessed it right, and the distinguished guest really stayed in the Su mansion. The main reason was that the 13th prince was too seriously injured and could not move for the time being. He could only stay in the Su mansion to recuperate, and the other 2 princes also stayed. Su's mother and Su Qingni had already learned from the servants the identities of the 2 princes who came later, the 4th prince and the 14th prince. The 2 princes had a very good relationship with the 13th prince. Worried about the 13th prince's health, they stayed in the Su mansion. "Miss, 3 nobles want to see you. The master asked you to go to the guest house." Su's father's constant companion came to find Su Qingni again. When Su's mother heard this, her eyes lit up, and she quickly asked the maids to dress up Su Qingni and put on her best clothes. "Qingni, this is an opportunity, you have to seize it. If any prince takes a fancy to you, you can fly up to the branch and become a phoenix." Su's mother suppressed her excitement. If your daughter can become a prince's woman, it would be a great fortune. Su Qingni frowned. "Mother, the 3 princes already have wives, do you want your daughter to be a concubine? How can the concubine of the prince be compared with a concubine of an ordinary family?" Chapter 246, Qing Dynasty IV. How can a prince's concubine be compared with concubines of ordinary families? Su's mother said, "A concubine of the royal family is very noble. Even your father and I will have to pay our respects to you when the time comes." "But she is still a concubine." Su Qingni said unhappily, "Aren't you still subject to formal suppression and torture?" Su's mother said, "If you become a concubine, it means you are listed in the royal jade book, and the legitimate wife will not dare to suppress you at will. Daughter, with our family background, you can't be the prince's legitimate wife, and it's a little difficult to be a concubine, but you can be a princess. After entering the mansion, if you give birth to a son and win the favor of your master, you can become a concubine. Look at the girl from the Li family. She was just a concubine when she entered the prince's mansion, but now she has become a concubine, right?" "Which girl from the Li family?" Su Qingni asked. Su's mother said, "It's the eldest daughter of the prefect Li's family. You saw her when you were a child." "Li?" Su Qingni was surprised. "The concubine of Prince Yong's mansion." Su's mother nodded, "Yes, that's her." Su Qingni didn't expect that her original body knew the future concubine Qi Li. This one can be regarded as a relatively successful woman in the backyard, right? She was so favored in the early stage, and in the later stage, it can only be said that she gave birth to a chubby son. She ruined a good situation by herself, and even her own life was taken away. Su Qingni didn't believe the rumors that Yongzhang killed him to pave the way for Hongli. You know, Yongzhang had so few sons, much less than Kangxi's sons. How could Yongzhang bear to kill one of his sons? Hongxi's death could not have been done by Yongzhang, it could only be that he did it himself. Su Qingni was still thinking about the father-son relationship between Yongzhang and Hongxi, and Su's mother had asked the maids to quickly help Su Qingni comb her hair again, put on hair accessories, and push the person out of the yard. Su Qingni saw herself dressed so grandly, and laughed in her heart. Haven't the other princes seen enough women dressed up in grandiose outfits? If Su's mother dressed her up like this, it would only backfire. But Su Qingni thought it was a good idea, and she didn't want to be favored by the prince. In many Qing dynasty novels, the time-traveling women would develop a bloody love affair with the princes, but Su Qingni didn't want that. Under the name of love, aren't they still the prince's mistresses? In some Qing dynasty novels, the time-traveling women were cheated on by their boyfriends or husbands, and thought they were betrayed, and then they came to the Qing dynasty unexpectedly, developed feelings with the princes of the Qing dynasty, and became a member of their backyard. Why didn't they blame the princes for cheating at this time? They were also happy to be the mistresses they used to disdain, fighting with the wives of other people, defeating them, and taking their place. Su Qingni used to find this kind of Qing dynasty novel strange. Why are the standards for time-traveling women so double? Su Qingni, greet the Prince of Yuan, the 13th Prince, and the 14th Prince. May the three of you be blessed. Su Qingni met the three famous princes in the 13th Prince's room. The 13th Prince half leaned on the bed rails and looked in good spirits. Get up. The 4th Prince called out in a very cold voice. Su Qingni stood up, bowing her head very skillfully, looking like she was bowing her head in a respectful manner, but her sight could see the people sitting at the top clearly. Because this is not a historical time and space, the 4th Prince is not ordinary or even ugly like in history. The 4th Prince here is beautified. A man in his 30s looks like he is only in his 20s. He has a handsome appearance and outstanding temperament. Su Qingni felt that if she had traveled into a novel world, the 4th Prince would definitely be the male protagonist of this novel world. With such a beautiful face, it would be a waste not to be the male protagonist. Not to mention the 13th Prince, Su Qingni had seen his appearance a long time ago. He was also a handsome guy, but he was slightly inferior to the 4th Prince. Let's look at the 14th Prince. He is either the male protagonist or an important male supporting role. He looks as handsome as the 4th Prince, and they are indeed brothers. Unlike the 4th Prince, who is cold and aloof, the 14th Prince has a sunny temperament, which makes people feel more favorable. The 4th Prince said, "You saved the 13th brother this time, and your contribution is not small. Do you have any requests?" Su Qingni hurriedly said in fear and trepidation, "I was lucky to save the 13th master, and I dare not take credit for it." The 4th Prince stared at Su Qingni for a long time and said, "You are good. Thank you for your compliment, 4th master." Su Qingni replied in fear and trepidation again. "Since there is no request, I will let someone watch the reward. You can go down." The 4th Prince drove people away. Su Qingni saluted and left the yard obediently. After leaving the room, Su Qingni heard the 4th Prince say to Su's father, "Mr. Su has a good upbringing, and Miss Su is dignified to accept the gift. Very good." Su Qingni heard Su's father's overjoyed voice, "Thank you for your compliment, 4th master." It sounds like Su's father misunderstood the 4th Prince. The other person just casually complimented her. Did he think that the other person really liked his daughter? This thought. Su Qingni chuckled, "I think the three princes can see it." Sure enough, when Su Qingni passed by the garden later, she heard laughter coming from the other side of the garden. It was the voice of the 14th Prince. The two of them looked at the 13th Prince and went back to the guest room to rest from the other side of the garden. "4th brother, you are so lucky." The 14th Prince laughed. "Su's Hankang wants to send his daughter to your backyard." "Don't talk nonsense." The 4th Prince rebuked the 14th Prince. "Don't talk nonsense about such things. Don't ruin Miss Su's reputation." The 14th Prince chuckled twice. "4th brother, you don't like Su's Hankang's daughter. It's true that such a dull and boring woman is just like those ladies in the capital, bound by etiquette, and there is nothing new." The 4th Prince snorted lightly. "Don't jump to conclusions about anything. 14th prince, what do you mean? The 4th prince naturally would not answer the 14th prince's question, and the 14th prince could not help but get angry. I hate the attitude of the 4th prince the most. Just tell me, I'll go ask the 13th prince. The 14th prince turned around and was about to go back. Isn't the 13th prince the worm in the 4th prince's stomach? He must know what the 4th prince means. Come back. The 4th prince shouted, the 13th prince is injured and in a bad mood. He needs to rest well. Don't disturb him. Then tell me what you meant by what you said before. The 14th prince snorted, with a naughty look of if you don't tell me, I'll go find the 13th prince, which made the 4th prince frown again and again. There was no way for the 4th prince to deal with this brother, so he could only tell his discovery. If Miss Su was really bound by etiquette and never went out of the house, how could she meet the 13th prince? And rescue the 13th prince home? Chapter 247, Qing Dynasty 5. Are you really so dull and ignorant of etiquette that you would bring a strange man back to your home? Are you really a woman in the harem who knows nothing that she would recognize the identity of the 13th prince based on his jade pendant? The 4th prince asked a series of questions, and the 14th prince was stunned. He was dumbfounded and couldn't accept it. The woman who looked so boring and thought that she could seduce the princes by dressing gorgeously was not as she appeared, but had another side? I want to see what the other side of this woman is like. The 14th prince snorted. Su Qingni on the other side of the garden couldn't help but have a toothache. It seemed that her dressing in accordance with Su's mother had the opposite effect. The 4th prince was worthy of being the future Emperor Yongzhen. His ability to observe and analyze problems was really too strong. What a trouble. Su Qingni felt that she had to be honest these days and wait until the 14th prince lost interest in her. Sure enough, after today, Su Qingni found someone secretly spying on her. It must be someone sent by the 14th prince. Su Qingni stopped practicing martial arts. After helping her mother with housekeeping every day, she would read books, embroider, play the piano and play chess in her own yard. Her days were regular and boring. After more than half a month, the side of spying on Su Qingni disappeared. It was not that the 14th prince confirmed that Su Qingni was really boring, and the 4th prince had misjudged the person, but that the 14th prince met a more interesting person. Su Qingni heard it from Amber. Su Qingni was honestly confusing people in the mansion, while Amber was not restrained in the mansion. She went out of the mansion every day to inquire about the news. When she heard interesting news, she came back to tell Su Qingni to relieve her boredom. The person who made the 14th prince feel interesting was Lu Ying, the daughter of the great scholar Mr. Lu. Su Qingni recognized Lu Ying and had seen Lu Ying at a gathering of the daughters of the boudoir. Lu Ying was 3 years older than Su Qingni and was very beautiful. She was incompatible with the daughters of the boudoir, but her talent was top-notch. Because of the identity of her father and grandfather as great scholars, Lu Ying was naturally a talented woman, talented and beautiful, and the daughters of the boudoir were naturally very jealous of her. But this is not the main reason why she can't get along with the daughters. The main reason is that this girl is a female knight with strong martial arts skills, and she looks down on the pretentious daughters. It is said that when LV Ying was a child, she was spotted by a Taoist nun with strong martial arts skills, who took her as an apprentice and taught her excellent martial arts. It is said that after LV Ying mastered martial arts, she went out to travel around the world for 2 years. She has made a big name in the world and is called a female knight. It is said that LV Ying went home this time because her grandfather was in poor health and wanted to see his grandchildren get married before he died, so that he would no longer have to worry about his children and grandchildren. LV Ying's eldest brother got married a month ago, and LV's mother was looking for a husband for her daughter, but LV Ying didn't want to marry someone she didn't like, so she was very upset. According to the news from Amber, LV Ying went out to relax and met the 4th prince and the 14th prince respectively. LV Ying and the 14th prince got to know each other after fighting, which aroused the interest of the 14th prince. However, the 14th prince was not LV Ying's type. LV Ying had a better impression of the 4th prince, who had caught a group of human traffickers with her and saved many children. The 4th prince seemed to be interested in LV Ying as well. He did not reveal his identity and made up an identity and name to interact with LV Ying. Very strangely, LV Ying interacted with the two brothers separately, and the two brothers did not even realize that the other party also knew LV Ying. Just like LV Ying was boating on the lake with the 4th prince just a moment ago, after they separated, she immediately met the 14th prince and had a quarrel with him. In the meantime, the 4th prince and the 14th prince did not meet. Well, LV Ying would not be the heroine, right? God helped her to deal with the two men, making the two men think that LV Ying only belonged to them and did not know the existence of the other person. Su Qingni thought this scene was really interesting. Even the depression of being spied on by the 14th prince for so long disappeared. Without the 14th prince's eyes, Su Qingni could go out by herself and watch the 14th prince, the 4th prince and LV Ying perform in person. In this love drama, the 4th prince is the male lead, and the 14th prince should be the supporting role. Because anyone with a discerning eye can see that the 4th prince and LV Ying are in love with each other, while the 14th prince is a one-man show. LV Ying has no interest in him, and he narcissistically thinks that LV Ying loves him but cannot express it, and thinks that LV Ying is hypocritical and likes him in her heart. I don't know where this gentleman got his confidence from. Time passed while Su Qingni was watching the drama very high. In a blink of an eye, more than a month has passed, and the 13th prince's injury has healed. Because of his request, Su Qingni met the 13th prince again. This time, the 13th prince wanted to personally thank Su Qingni for saving his life. Because of the last self-defeating, Su Qingni did not dress herself up carefully according to Su's mother's idea. She appeared in front of the 13th prince in an ordinary appearance. The 13th prince has a very hearty smile, and he is different from the sunshine of the 14th prince. The 14th prince is the sunshine, and the 13th prince is the sea, giving people a feeling of breadth and broad-mindedness. Miss Su, thank you for saving my life. The 13th prince bowed deeply to Su Qingni, very sincerely. It was not the attitude of the 4th prince, who was satisfied with the subordinates doing the right thing, nor was it the attitude of the 14th prince, who said a slave should be dismissed with money and power. The 13th prince's attitude was very sincere, which made Su Qingni feel very good about him. No wonder the 13th prince was called the king of chivalry, and his reputation was better than that of his other brothers. Su Qingni dodged sideways. 13th master, I just happened to save you, and I really don't deserve such a great gift from you. I deserve it. The 13th prince straightened up and said seriously, my life is very precious, and I deserve such a great gift. Su Qingni. Su Qingni didn't say anything. It would be inappropriate to say anything at this time. The 13th prince bowed to Su Qingni again and said, please forgive me for bothering you these days. Su Qingni acted as if she was confused, saying, what are you talking about? I don't understand. The 13th prince couldn't help laughing. Miss Su is so interesting, but you still say you are boring. You are being fooled and don't even know it. Su Qingni acted terrified. How dare I lie to you, Master 14? You are joking, Master 13. The 13th prince chuckled and said, aren't you just fooling me now? He stared at Su Qingni with a smile and said, aren't you just fooling me now? Su Qingni remained calm. No way. The 13th prince smiled and said, Miss Su, actually, when you asked your girl to save me, although I looked unconscious, I was still conscious and could hear voices. I just couldn't open my eyes. Chapter 248, Qing Dynasty 6. 13th prince, I can hear the sound, but I can't open my eyes. Su Qingni. 13th prince, I know Amber used King Guang to rescue me from the lake. Amber is quite skilled, and as her master, you should be even better, right? Su Qingni. 13th prince smiled, I got it right, I don't know how to refute it. Su Qingni sighed, as expected of the 13th prince, you are as observant as the 4th prince. 13th prince laughed and said happily, of course, I grew up following 4th prince since I was a child. Aren't we two brothers very similar? Su Qingni nodded, very similar, you are more like real brothers. And 14th prince, I suspect someone has switched you with 14th prince. 13th prince couldn't help but laugh even more, I hope so. Unfortunately, it is not the case. Su Qingni praised, but you and 4th prince have a really good relationship. It can be seen that 4th prince cares about you as his younger brother. When he came to see you before, 4th prince was very anxious. The 13th prince hummed, and his expression became extremely gentle, in my heart, 4th brother is my biological brother. I think in his heart, I am also his closest brother. You have a really good relationship. That's right. The 13th prince nodded halfway, paused, and laughed. Miss Su, I was almost fooled by you. Let's get back to the subject. Su Qingni made a bitter face. Can't the 13th prince pretend that I fooled you and let me go? The 13th prince coughed with a smile. No. Su Qingni surrendered. Okay, I admit that I know martial arts. Then, how will the 13th prince treat me? You are my savior, I can only be grateful to you and will not hurt you. The 13th prince said, I exposed your true face just to prove that I am smarter and more visionary than the 14th prince. Su Qingni. Why do I feel that the 13th prince is a little childish? Su Qingni. The 13th prince is indeed smarter than the 14th prince. The 13th prince laughed even more happily. Su Qingni curled her lips, and her impression of the 13th prince became better. This is a friend worth making friends with. He is not as high-handed as the 14th prince as a prince. He treats people he likes as equals. I am not very familiar with Dayang City. Can you be a guide and take me around the city? The 13th prince invited him. Su Qingni thought about it and agreed. She could see that the 13th prince had no feelings for her, although he was also curious about her. Su Qingni took the 13th prince to visit some scenic spots and historical sites in Dayang City, and took him to walk through the streets and alleys to eat all kinds of authentic food. Some delicacies are just made from a small stall made of a simple shed and a few shabby small tables. Eating in such an environment is a very novel experience for the 13th prince. At this time, he was sitting on a small stool, holding a bowl of donkey meat soup. The broth was boiled into a milky white color, fragrant, and rich and appetizing. The 13th prince held the local pot cake in his other hand, and he drank a mouthful of soup and ate a mouthful of pot cake. It was so comfortable. It was simply amazing. Su Qingni did the same thing as the 13th prince, but she was dressed in men's clothes at this time, and even though her actions were a bit out of line, she did not attract too many people's attention. It was just that the 13th prince looked at her from time to time with an interesting and funny look. Su Qingni glanced at the 13th prince, and her eyes meant, you don't have to look at me, you are different. The 13th prince chuckled and said, I am a man. Su Qingni, I am also a man in the eyes of outsiders now. The 13th prince choked, drank a mouthful of soup, and said, if Lord Su and Madam Su see you like this careless look, they will cry. Su Qingni, if the 4th prince sees you like this, will he punish you to copy the rules? The 13th prince was choked again. It's really possible. I can't argue with this girl, so I won't say anything. Anyway, this girl can't become his woman, so let her future husband worry about it. The premise is that the girl can get married. Thinking of this girl going to the capital to participate in the talent show next year, the 13th prince couldn't help but want to watch the show, wanting to see who this girl would be betrothed to in the end. If it was one of his brothers. The villain in the 13th prince's heart began to spin in circles, looking extremely happy. After the two of them had eaten and drunk their fill, they both regained their appearance as elegant gentlemen, left the alley where the stall was located, and walked onto the street. The streets of Dayang City are very lively, but they cannot be compared with the capital. The 13th prince and Su Qingni had no interest in shopping, so they just walked casually, following the flow of people towards the direction of the lake. When they arrived at the lake, the two rented a black padded boat and cruised around the lake to relax. The lake is vast and peaceful. A small boat is small. There is no need to row frequently to see the ripples. See how many clouds and mountains there are. Ask him how he likes it. He is used to seeing the smoke and waves. Carrying the moonlight back home, a few songs are clear. The 13th prince sat opposite Su Qingni, holding the fragrant tea that Su Qingni had brewed, turned his head and looked around to appreciate the surrounding scenery, and recited with emotion, and said to Su Qingni, the scenery seen by the boat and the scenery seen by the pleasure boat are roughly the same, but the artistic conception is quite different. Su Qingni asked, then do you like the scenery seen by the pleasure boat or the scenery seen by the boat? I like both. The 13th prince would not choose at all, they are different, I like them all. Just like I am used to the life of a prince, and I also yearn for the life of an ordinary person. Su Qingni felt that if the 13th prince could become the emperor, he might be able to do better than Yang Zhen. The 13th prince is younger than the 4th prince, and his thoughts are not as rigid as those of people in this era, so it would be easier for him to accept new things. If he knew the current development status of Western countries, if the 13th prince was allowed to take the throne. Su Qingni said, 13th prince, do you know anything about the missionaries' countries? 13th prince nodded, of course, there are many missionaries in Beijing. The emperor knows something about Western culture. We princes naturally need to understand Western culture as well. Su Qingni shook her head, no, you don't. You only know the surface. You don't know at all what Western countries are like. 13th Prince, as the art of war says, know yourself and the enemy, and you will never be defeated in 100 battles. Western countries will be the enemies of the Qing dynasty in the future. If you don't understand your enemies, you will suffer a great loss in the future. I think the 13th Prince should devote more energy to understanding Western countries. If possible, you should go to Western countries in person to see for yourself. See the social and scientific development of those countries. Chapter 249, Qing Dynasty 7. The 13th Prince restrained his smile and stared at Su Qingni with deep eyes. What is your purpose? Su Qingni was not frightened by the 13th Prince's expression at all, and said calmly, no purpose, I just remind you that Western countries are not barbarians. If you underestimate others, you will suffer. The 13th Prince still had a sullen face and locked his eyes with Su Qingni. He was trying to judge whether Su Qingni had other intentions. Su Qingni looked at the 13th Prince fearlessly. After a long while, the 13th Prince withdrew his gaze and his expression softened. You are not one of those people from the Xiandahu. Su Qingni rolled her eyes. If I were a member of the Xiandahu, would I save you, a prince of the Qing dynasty? The 13th Prince laughed and said, what if you want to get close to me, enter the royal family in the name of your savior, and become an undercover agent of the Xiandahu? Su Qingni also laughed. The harem is not allowed to interfere in politics, and women in the backyard are not allowed to manage their husband's official affairs. Which idiot would go into someone else's backyard as an undercover agent? The 13th Prince laughed easily. That's hard to say. Su Qingni threw him a pair of sanitary balls. My father is an official of the Qing dynasty. How stupid must I be to join the Xiandahu? The 13th Prince laughed, and the atmosphere on the boat became extremely relaxed. After a while, the 13th Prince stopped laughing and asked Su Qingni, do you know anything about Western countries? Why should I be wary of Western countries? Su Qingni sighed and said, that's because I met a Westerner before and heard some history of Western countries from him. Do you know that Western countries are just small places? Why did they grow so big? The 13th Prince really didn't know, so he humbly asked Su Qingni for advice. Su Qingni, Western countries started the age of exploration as early as the Ming dynasty. Western ships not only came to the Ming dynasty at that time, but also reached 2 other continents in the world where only indigenous people lived but no country. They occupied the continent, plundered the resources there and returned to their own countries to develop their own countries. They tasted the sweetness of this and set their sights on the countries with owners. The Ming dynasty and the Qing dynasty were still relatively powerful, and they did not dare to take action against the Qing dynasty, so some other countries suffered. The land was occupied by Westerners, the people were enslaved by Westerners, and those countries became colonies of Western countries. Does the 13th Prince know India? The 13th Prince nodded. How could he not know? This is an ancient country with a long history. It is said that Master Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty went to India to seek Buddhist scriptures. Su Qingni dropped a bomb. India has become a colony of England. The 13th Prince gasped. India has become a colony of a Western country, so what about the Qing dynasty? If the Qing dynasty continues to treat Western countries as barbarians and despises Western countries, will the Qing dynasty become the second India one day? The 13th Prince has become wary of Western countries. However, he is just a prince. What can he do? Will his father and his brothers listen to him and be wary of Western countries? The 13th Prince does not have much confidence. Although the father attaches importance to Western culture, he thinks that he is the emperor of the Celestial Empire and does not pay much attention to Western barbarians. And his brothers. There are already signs of the modern Kowloon succession struggle. The brothers' minds are all on that position, so how can they focus on other things? The 13th Prince wiped his face. Is it really necessary to go to Western countries in person as Su Qingni suggested and collect more information? However, without the permission of the father, the prince cannot leave the capital at will. What's more, if he wants to go abroad, the father will definitely not allow it, right? Oh my, what trouble, what trouble. The 13th Prince could not help but complain to Su Qingni, you really gave me a big problem. Su Qingni snorted, I'm just reminding you. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. Anyway, the Qing dynasty belongs to the Ixinjiluo family, and it has nothing to do with me. The 13th Prince gritted his teeth. Thank you so much. Seeing that the 13th Prince looked like he had a toothache and a headache, Su Qingni decided to tell him a good news to temporarily relieve his headache. Su Qingni said, I have not only heard these headache-inducing news from Westerners, but also heard a good news. What good news? The 13th prince asked hurriedly. Su Qingni said, Westerners have discovered 3 high-yield grain crops, namely potatoes, sweet potatoes and corn. These 3 crops are drought-resistant and not too picky about the land, but the output is not low. The output per mu is 2 or 3 times higher than the output of the best grain varieties today. Are you serious? The 13th prince stood up suddenly, and the force he exerted almost overturned the boat, and he almost fell into the water. Su Qingni grabbed the 13th prince's arm and stopped him from falling into the water. When the boat regained its balance, Su Qingni let go of her hand and gave 13th prince a look. Sit down and talk, I don't want to take a bath in the lake. 13th prince sat down angrily, but then reached out and grabbed Su Qingni's arm, and asked anxiously, is what you said true? Is there really such a high-yield grain variety? Su Qingni understood 13th prince's feelings and did not care about him grabbing her arm hard. Well, it was a little painful. It's true. Su Qingni said, I can draw the appearance of the 3 crops. You can ask someone to find them, and then try to plant them yourself to see how they work. Then I'll leave it to you. 13th prince said hurriedly, I'll ask someone to go out to sea when I return to the capital, and go to Western countries to find the 3 grain crops. No need to go out to sea. Su Qingni said, these 3 crops were introduced to our country during the Ming dynasty. However, because the government did not pay attention to them at that time, now only the coastal areas of southern Fujian will plant them. You can find them by sending people to the coastal areas. Such a good thing is not valued. 13th prince was surprised. No wonder the Ming dynasty perished. Su Qingni laughed in his heart. There are many reasons for the demise of the Ming dynasty, but if it were not for Changzhen's bad luck, after he came to power, there were natural disasters here and there, which led to the people's misery and civil uprisings. The Qing dynasty would not have taken advantage of the opportunity to let them rule the Central Plains. Su Qingni told 13th prince about potatoes and sweet potatoes not to help the Qing rulers, but for the people of the world. Kangxi is still wise now. After obtaining the 3 crops, he will promote them to the world. In this way, the people will have more food and the number of people dying of starvation will be reduced. The people can live a better life. Telling the 13th prince about the Western powers is not to help the Qing dynasty, but to help the entire China. Let's not have a century of humiliation. Chapter 250, Qing Dynasty 8. After hearing the 2 shocking pieces of news, the 13th prince no longer had the heart to cruise the lake. He was in a hurry to return and asked Su Qingni to draw him pictures of potatoes, sweet potatoes and corn. The boatman was rowing the boat towards the shore, and the 13th prince's eyes were cast in one direction and did not move. Su Qingni followed the 13th prince's line of sight and saw 2 people she knew. There were not many people rowing boats on the lake to enjoy the scenery, but there were some. These 2 people were riding in a small boat. They sat shoulder to shoulder with their knees against each other in the front of the boat, talking to each other's ears with smiles on their faces, looking very intimate. These 2 were none other than the 4th prince and Lu Ying. Do you want to go up and say hello? Su Qingni asked. No need. The 13th prince asked the boatman to speed up the rowing and quickly get away from the 4th prince's sight. 4th brother is traveling with a beauty, I'd better not disturb him. Su Qingni didn't care. The 13th prince showed a surprised look on his face. This is the first time I saw 4th brother smile so happily and gently at a woman. Even 4th sister-in-law, 4th brother has never smiled like this. It seems that 4th brother likes that woman very much. I wonder what the identity of that woman is. Miss Su, you are a local snake. Do you know who the woman next to my 4th brother is? Su Qingni replied, that is Miss Lu Ying, the granddaughter of Lu Zhishan, Lu Deru. Is she a Han woman? 13th prince was worried about his brother. This is troublesome. Miss Lu's identity cannot enter 4th brother's inner courtyard. Maybe she doesn't want to enter your 4th brother's inner courtyard at all. Don't look at Lu Ying and your 4th brother being affectionate now. That's because she doesn't know your 4th brother's true identity, and doesn't know that your 4th brother is married and has many women. If she knew, Lu Ying might kick your 4th brother out immediately. She is a chivalrous woman, and she will never be a concubine for a man. Su Qingni admired this about Lu Ying. The 13th prince rubbed his chin and said, but if the 4th brother really likes this Miss Lu, he will definitely find a way to make Miss Lu eligible to enter the Prince of Yang County's mansion. For example, if Lu Ying's background is changed and her parents are changed, There won't be too many people who want to curry favor with a prince, and they will definitely be very willing to recognize Lu Ying as their own girl. Su Qingni sneered. Miss Lu probably doesn't know the fourth brother's identity, and she won't want to enter the fourth brother's backyard. Miss Lu is a famous female hero in the martial arts world. How could she be wrong to become a man's concubine? What? The 13th prince was shocked and widened his eyes. Such a woman with a soft appearance is actually a famous female hero in the martial arts world? I really can't tell. But his eyes swept over Su Qingni, and his eyes returned to normal size. Isn't there a woman who is hypocritical and also knows martial arts in front of him? This one's status is higher than that Miss Lu. This one is a legitimate official's daughter. Doesn't she also know martial arts? What kind of environment and soil is this in Dayang City? Why do women there have such double-faced and fierce skills? The 13th prince couldn't help but worry about his fourth brother. If Miss Lu is really a famous female hero in the world, she might not want to be one of the women in the fourth brother's backyard. Even if she is willing. The 13th prince began to worry about the fourth lady and other women in the fourth brother's backyard. If these women annoy Miss Lu, will Miss Lu kill them directly with a sword? Oh my, fourth brother, you guys have provoked such a master? Did you really not tell her your true identity? The 13th prince was so worried about his fourth brother that he even forgot about high-yield grains and Western powers. Su Qingni despised this. The person involved is not worried. Why do you worry so much, 13th prince? Maybe Lu Ying loves the fourth brother so much that she can wrong herself for the fourth brother and be his concubine. Su Qingni made one of the possibilities. Who said that the fourth prince and LV Ying are the male and female protagonists? The male and female protagonists either love and hate each other, or one party compromises and stays with the other party. The fourth prince will naturally not compromise, because his temperament is not the kind of person who only loves beauty and not the country. Therefore, if there is a compromise, it can only be LV Ying who compromises. That's right. The 13th prince seemed to have been enlightened and laughed. Yes, women value affection the most. For love, they will really wrong themselves. Su Qingni secretly pouted. Those women who only have affection in their hearts will be like this. However, today's society is not modern. In addition to love and family, women can also have careers and hobbies. Today's women still revolve around men most of the time. Even if they are female knights in the rivers and lakes, no matter how wanton they are, their destination in their hearts is to get married, have children and have their own family. Therefore, love is indeed very important to them. For love, it is possible that they will really wrong themselves again and again. Su Qingni didn't know what LV Ying would choose, but she felt that the 13th prince thought too beautifully. Lu Ying is different from the women nowadays. She is more inclined to think that Lu Ying will fall in love and hate with the fourth prince. This way there will be more exciting plots to watch. The two returned to the Su mansion. Under the eager eyes of the 13th prince, Su Qingni drew the patterns of potatoes, sweet potatoes and corn. From leaves to roots to fruits, from seeds to growth period to maturity, Su Qingni drew more than 10 patterns, and drew the characteristics of the two crops in great detail. The 13th prince's people will definitely be able to find 3 crops with these patterns. If they can't find them, it can only mean that there is something fishy. The 13th prince left with more than a dozen patterns in his hands, as if he had found a treasure. Su Qingni returned to her own yard. Just after she changed back into women's clothes, she heard someone from Su's mother's yard come to invite her. Su Qingni sighed. She didn't need to guess why Su's mother asked her to go over. Since she became friends with the 13th prince and often accompanied him to play, Su's mother and father paid more attention to her. Every once in a while, they would make new clothes and custom-made new jewelry for her, saying that she should dress up more beautifully when accompanying the 13th prince. Haha, most of the time when she went out with the 13th prince, she dressed in men's clothes and had no use for those clothes and jewelry. They asked the two not to make new clothes and new jewelry, but they simply could not hear them. Their minds were full of beautiful thoughts about becoming relatives with the 13th prince. Sure enough, after going to Su's mother's room, Su Qingni brought back a lot of clothes and jewelry. What a waste. Su Qingni threw the clothes and jewelry aside and asked Amber to sort them out. She sat cross-legged on the chaise longue and began her daily practice. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.